Chapter 58. When Su-won came to the hospital ward after work, Su-rue was leaning on the hospital bed, holding a laptop and watching a TV series. That's right, it was the kind of melodramatic 8:00 and brainless idol drama with the halo of the Virgin Mary Su. In fact, when Su-rue stayed at her house that day, Su-won realized that Su-rue seemed to have a special preference for this kind of TV series. That day, Su-won really just watched a few times out of boredom, but Su-rue actually knew the names and relationships of the characters and even the development of the plot like the back of his hand. In fact, what Su-won didn't know was that Su-rue, as a real ultimate villain who once destroyed a plane, had always been a bit twisted. And after being stimulated by Su-won in the original plane, it became even worse. After becoming a plane restorer, because his means of completing the task were too rough and cruel, he was assessed as an S-level dangerous task enforcer by the headquarters. And in order to let him better adapt to various mission planes and learn how to become a competent professional, affectionate male supporting lead, the headquarters specially found a lot of TV series and novels similar to the plot of the mission plane for Su-rue to watch. Since then, watching all kinds of melodramatic and brainless TV series and all kinds of overbearing CEOs fall in love with me romance novels became one of Su-rue's hobbies. And after meeting Su-won again, our family's General Su automatically acquired a second skill, which was to freely and easily apply the scenes he had seen in novels and TV dramas to real life. Of course, Su-rue's experimental subject of this skill was only Su-won. And, for example, pretending to be drunk, a hero saving a beauty. You came. When Su-rue saw Su-won's figure in the ward, his gaze immediately left the computer screen and stared at Su-won without blinking. Su-won lifted the insulated lunch box in her hand, hungry. There's a bit of a traffic jam today. She still carefully fed Su-rue, and no special expression could be seen on her face. During the meal, the two people didn't speak until they finished eating. Su-won washed the insulated lunch box in the bathroom. She saw Su-rue on the sickbed squinting his eyes and looking at her with a face full of love. You have a fever. Su-won also narrowed her eyes and looked at Su-rue with a teasing face. Su-rue stretched out his intact arm. Didn't you say you would wipe my body at night? Oh, yeah. Su-won seemed to have thought of something. She turned around and walked to the door. She opened the door and shouted towards the outside, "Come in." In the end, Su-rue saw a sturdy middle-aged woman wearing the blue clothing of a certain nursing center slowly walk in. Serve young Master Fong well and clean him up. Su-won very solemnly patted the nurse auntie's shoulder and then quickly left the ward under Su-rue's dumbstruck gaze. Before leaving, she didn't forget to forcefully close the door. In the ward, the caregiver was still standing in the same spot. She was dumbfounded as she watched the patient in front of her miraculously stood by the bed and blew air conditioning on her. In this day and age, being a nurse can also put your life in danger. The auntie was stunned by General Su's cold aura and didn't know how to react. But after Su-rue released his baleful aura, he thought of the TV series he just watched. It seems that black-bellied idiots are not the type that Su-won likes. Should I change my style next time? There are thousands of CEOs in the world, there must be one that is her type. At this time, Su-won had already arrived at the garden downstairs of the hospital. She didn't know that Su-rue had already decided to change his style in the next world. At this time, she just wanted to casually walk downstairs, but she didn't expect to meet Xiao Jing Mo, who came to look for her. What a coincidence. I specially came to look for you. Xiao Jing Mo looked travel-worn. As he spoke, he looked at Su-won with a profound gaze. Su-won, do you know who the person who harmed you this time is? It's Ouyang Jing, right? I haven't been back in the country for a long time. It seems that I only offended her. Su-won's mood wasn't high and her voice was also very low. I didn't think that Ouyang Jing would want my life. I also didn't think that Fong Zimu, he. Su Wan, do you really like Fong Zimu? Xiao Jingmo suddenly raised his hand and gently pressed Su Wan's shoulder. Su Wan's body stiffened. She suddenly raised her head and looked at Xiao Jingmo in astonishment. Jingmo, you. I heard what you and grandfather said that day. Xiao Jingmo's eyes were especially beautiful. At this moment, he looked at Su Wan with incomparable seriousness and depth. At this moment, those eyes seemed to be unable to see everything, only her face could be seen. Xiao Wan, I'm sorry. I didn't protect you well. His voice was low and trembling with guilt. Jingmo, don't be like this. As if she couldn't bear this kind of situation, Su Wan forced herself to turn her face to the side and didn't dare to look at Xiao Jingmo face to face. Let bygones be bygones. You already have Luo Chu Chu now, Xiao Wan. Feeling that Su Wan was desperately suppressing her feelings and sadness, Xiao Jingmo suddenly felt very distressed. This was Su Wan. This was the person he once deeply loved. She would always be like the one in his memory. Always so kind, only knowing how to think of others. How could such a kind person be deceived by Fong Zimu, that beast in human skin? Thinking of this, Xiao Jingmo couldn't help but slightly lean over and get closer to Su Wan. Xiao Wan, I investigated. The driver who hit you did receive money from Ouyang Jing in the beginning, but his real boss was Fong Zimu. What did you say? Su Wan turned her head again and looked at Xiao Jingmo with astonishment. You didn't hear wrong. It's Fong Zimu. I don't know where he found out that Ouyang Jing wanted to deal with you. After that, he found the driver and gave him a large sum of money. Then, he self-directed and acted out a hero saving the beauty. I came to the hospital this afternoon. Later, I also looked for Fong Zimu's attending doctor. The injuries on his body were also fake. Today, I saw with my own eyes that he was walking back and forth in the ward as if nothing had happened. Xiao Wan, Fong Zimu was deceiving you from the beginning. You must not believe him. How could it be? Like this? As if she was shocked by the news that Xiao Jingmo said, Su Wan froze in place. Her expression changed for a long time before she recovered. Jingmo, is this all true? Su Wan lightly bit her lips. The emotion on her face changed from shock to anger. I want to find him and confront him. I'll accompany you. When Su Wan and Xiao Jingmo arrived at the private ward upstairs, the frightened nurse auntie had already left. Su Rui's face was depressed as he faced the computer and let out cold air. Hearing the sound of the door opening and seeing Su Wan's face, the expression on Su Rui's face brightened. When he saw Xiao Jingmo behind Su Wan, Su Rui immediately lowered his eyes. What wind blew Chief Xiao here? His tone was unconcealable indifference. Ah. Xiao Jingmo's reply was also a sneer, Fong Zimu. At this time, you don't need to pretend anymore. Everything you did, Xiao Wan and I already know. Xiao Wan, that he actually dared to call her so intimately. Su Rui's eyes were still drooping. His long and thick black eyelashes completely covered the cold murderous intention that flashed through his eyes. What do you know? Su Rui calmly raised his eyes and his gaze directly fell on Su Wan's body. Fong Zimu. Right now, Su Wan's face was very bad. Even her voice was somewhat trembling. Well, this was the movie queen mode fully opened. Su Rui was not at all unfamiliar with this kind of performance. Xiao Wan, did he say bad things about me in front of you? It was only a matter of a moment. Su Rui also automatically and consciously entered the acting mode. As for the name Xiao Wan, Su Rui told himself in his heart that this name could only be called by him in the future. As for other people, he would kill whoever called it. Chapter 59. In the ward, Xiao Jingmo stood at the side with a guardian's posture, staring at Su Rui with disdain. And Su Rui just looked at Su Wan with a blank face. Fang Zimu. Su Wan seemed to have stabilized her emotions and then slowly opened her mouth. The driver who caused the accident was bribed by you. The injuries on your body are also fake. You've been lying to me from the beginning, haven't you? With every word she said, Su Wan's expression became sadder. By the end, her eyes were already red. That kind of powerlessness and disappointment of being deeply deceived by the person she trusted was deeply acted out by her. Xiao Wan, what are you talking about? Su Rui somewhat inexplicably looked at Su Wan, then turned his head and fiercely looked at Xiao Jingmo. Xiao Jingmo. In the end, what did you say to her? I only said the facts that I found and saw. Xiao Jingmo's tone was very calm. At this point, Fang Zimu, you don't need to act anymore. Facts. Why is what you said the truth? Su Rui, who was on the hospital bed, coldly smiled. Is what you found the truth? You said that the driver was bribed by me. I also said that he was bribed by you to frame me. Xiao Jingmo, you and Su Wan have already broken up. I'm now Su Wan's boyfriend. Can you not be so meddlesome? Can you, an outsider, not blindly meddle in the matters between us? Outsider. These two words seemed particularly ear-piercing at this moment. Therefore, when he heard Su Rui's words, Xiao Jingmo's face also became unsightly. Fang Zimu, you're simply quibbling. If you really have a clear conscience, do you dare to open the bandage on your leg and let us see? If you let me open it, I'll open it. Who do you think you are? Su Rui ruthlessly retorted. Right now, Su Wan and Xiao Jingmo were standing with their backs facing the door, so the two of them didn't realize that there was already a figure outside the ward. But Su Rui saw Luo Chu-Chu's figure at a glance. The ridicule in his eyes became even stronger. Xiao Jingmo, did you forget that you yourself have a girlfriend? Even if you want to go back and get back together with Su Wan, at least you have to first dump Luo Chu-Chu. Dragging down your family like this, you still have to take care of our matters. Don't you think you're very shameless? You're the truly shameless one. Seeing Su Rui quibble and glancing at the side, Su Wan's expression seemed to be somewhat shaken. Xiao Jingmo was momentarily flustered and didn't care about his usual gentleman's etiquette. He suddenly rushed to the bedside and lifted the quilt on Su Rui's body. Both of his hands aimed at his injured leg and fiercely tore the bandage on his leg. Blood continued to ooze out, and the wound that had already started to heal was torn open by the sudden contact. The white leg bone could even be seen from the bleeding wound. It was a bone-deep wound. Xiao Jingmo froze in place. Su Rui's expression did not change as he coldly stared at Xiao Jingmo. In the end, who is the one with ulterior motives? Xiao Jingmo, if I remember correctly, you were also at the scene on the day of the incident, right? Don't tell me you just happened to pass by. Why do you keep pestering Xiao Wan? Do you think that Cinderella in your villa knows about this? For a moment, Xiao Jingmo was at a loss for words. On the other hand, Su Wan on the side seemed to be shocked by the blood on Su Rui's leg. Her expression panicked and she immediately turned and ran towards the door. I'll go call the doctor. The ward's door was opened without warning. Su Wan blankly looked at Luo Chu-Chu who was standing at the door without saying a word. Luo. Su Wan wanted to say something, but Luo Chu-Chu in front of her just smiled reluctantly. I seem to have come at the wrong time. Sorry for disturbing. As she spoke, Luo Chu-Chu quickly turned around and left. Su Wan also didn't hesitate to go out to call Su Rui's attending doctor. Why don't you chase after her? Su Rui's leg was still bleeding, but he acted as if nothing happened. He looked at the motionless Xiao Jingmo with ridicule. If you don't chase after her, your Cinderella will really run away. You called her to come. Xiao Jingmo finally recovered his reason and calmness. He finally understood that he fell into Fang Zimu's trap from the beginning. I called her to come. When Su Rui heard Xiao Jingmo's words, he straightforwardly admitted, Xiao Jingmo, since you're already together with Luo Chu, isn't it good for you two to live together? Although I don't know what Su Wan thinks, I clearly know my own heart. I know what I want. I also know that I love her. Since you already gave up on her once 8 years ago, then 8 years later, what qualifications do you have to interfere with my relationship with her? What qualifications? Xiao Jingmo's gaze gradually darkened. That's right, what qualifications does he have? The current him didn't even have the qualifications to beg Su Wan to forgive him. But do you really want to watch Su Wan be deceived by Fang Zimu, this swindler? He couldn't be indifferent like this. That was Su Wan. The fool who gave everything for him and had always loved him deeply. Fang Zimu. Finally, as if he had made up his mind, Xiao Jingmo stared deeply at the person on the bed. I will chase back Su Wan. I will not give her to you. Whether it was guilt or trying his best to save her, Xiao Jingmo could only think of this method at this moment. He believed that he could use this method to help Su Wan break away from Fang Zimu's gentle trap. By the time Su Wan called the doctor over to bandage Su Rui's wound again, Xiao Jingmo had already left. After wrapping up the wound and changing the medicine, the doctor and nurses also left. There were only Su Wan and Su Rui left in the ward. Su Wan quietly sat in front of the bed and calmly looked at Su Rui. Su Rui also didn't speak. The atmosphere between the two people was particularly strange, but strangely harmonious. Until the clock on the wall reached 9:00 in the evening, Su Wan stood up without saying a word. She wanted to leave. Xiao Jingmo said that he wants to chase back you. Su Rui suddenly spoke to Su Wan's back in a low voice. This kind of person, who gave him such blind confidence? Does he think that if he doesn't want it, he can just give it up? If he wants to find a substitute, he can find a substitute. If he wants to chase back, he can chase back. Does he think that this world revolves around him? And, alright, even if he's the male lead favored by the laws of this world, so what? Even though Su Rui had watched no less than 100 TV dramas and novels so far, he was still unable to understand the emotional lives of those protagonists. He didn't think that this kind of man who found a substitute for love would be an infatuated person. If he was really infatuated, then he should always keep his chastity for his beloved woman. He didn't understand those love stories where they hurt each other, loathe each other, and in the end, abuse each other, and miraculously love, should be pure love, without a trace of impurities. There shouldn't be any deceit or harm. Because the word love was really too fragile. Once there was a big scar between two people, then even if they could love each other for a moment, they were doomed to be unable to love each other for a lifetime. Broken mirror reuniting and whatnot, only a ghost would believe it. This kind of person, who gave him such blind confidence? Su Wan's ears were still reverberating with Su Rui's words just now. That's right, Xiao Jingmo, who gave you confidence? You think you're saving your own old lover? Then, where do you place Luo Chu at this time? You think you're a saint of love by doing this? It's nothing more than hurting two women again, that's all. Su Wan's face was expressionless, a ruthless glint flashed past her eyes. It's time to end this world. She had already spent a lot of time here. In the end, what was she still looking forward to? Walking to the door of the ward, Su Wan slightly paused. Don't hurt Luo Chu. Leaving behind these 6 words, Soo-won quickly opened the door and left. As you wish. Soo-rué stared at the tightly closed door. A strange smile appeared in his dark eyes. He knew that he was already a little closer to the edge of Soo-won's heart. This world was like a breakthrough. Xiao Jing Mo, Luo Chu Chu. He didn't know what was so special about these 2 people that they were worthy of Soo-won's gentle treatment. That's right, Soo-won didn't stay in this world for a long time, but her methods were too gentle. This wasn't like the legendary Ruthless Destroyer number 3. Why did she show mercy to Luo Chu Chu? Why did she use such a gentle method to give Xiao Jing Mo a chance? Chapter 60. Luo Chu Chu and Xiao Jing Mo broke up. This wasn't the first time the 2 people broke up, but this time, they didn't quarrel nor urge her to stay. Both of them were very calm, or it could be said that they were preoccupied. When Luo Chu Chu left Xiao Jing Mo's private villa, she only brought a small suitcase. She thought that she could at least retain her last dignity at this time. How she came, how she left. She won't take away anything that belonged to Xiao Jing Mo. But can she really leave like this? Even if she took the same luggage as when she moved in, even if she told herself over and over again that a good meeting would be a good parting. Luo Chu Chu still clearly knew that she was completely different from when she first moved into this villa. She lost her heart here, but she had to leave with a body full of scars. This was love. A substitute's love. It was already early autumn. On both sides of the road, yellowed leaves fluttered with the wind. Luo Chu Chu dragged her suitcase and quietly walked on the deserted long street. Far away, Soo-won sat in her car and looked at that woman's lonely and desolate figure. Soo-won's gaze was absent-minded for a moment and quickly returned to normal. She lowered her eyes and no longer looked at Luo Chu Chu's figure. When she raised her eyes again, Soo-won's gaze had already returned to its habitual indifference. Soo-won took out a small and exquisite woman's counterfeit phone and dialed a landline in the city. It's me. She deliberately lowered her voice. The time is ripe. You can make your move. Good. That's great. The voice on the other end of the phone seemed to be somewhat fierce. The one surnamed Xiao has done so many wicked things. He should also receive retribution. Soo-won responded in a low voice. You guys also have to be a bit careful. Regardless of whether it succeeds or not, I will transfer the rest of the money into your account as promised. It will be enough for your family to spend for a lifetime. After saying this, Soo-won hung up the phone. She removed the SIM card, folded it into a few pieces and threw it out of the window. Then she slowly started her car and left. The next day, it happened to be the weekend. Soo-won slept comfortably at home and finally went to the hospital out of habit. The morning sun was especially warm and brilliant. Through the transparent glass window, the brilliant warm sun shone on Soo-rué's side profile. Soo-won stood at the door with rapt attention, as if she couldn't remember the first time she met Soo-rué, his appearance. At that time, Soo-rué was just a native of an insignificant mission world that she could use. This was like playing an online game. There were so many NPCs in the game settings. Who would pay special attention to one of them? The current Soo-rué was undoubtedly much more real than before. Soo-rué was originally concentrating on looking at the computer on the sickbed. After a good while, as if he felt Soo-won's gaze, Soo-rué suddenly raised his head. In that instant, the originally ice-cold and gloomy gaze immediately melted like ice and snow and became especially gentle. You came? Have you seen the morning news? While speaking, Soo-rué had already turned the laptop that was placed flat on the bed frame towards Soo-won's direction. This morning's Xiang City morning news was especially lively. Haoyue Group, as the pillar of Xiang City's enterprises, had always received much attention. And just today, in the various shopping malls under Haoyue's banner, there were incidents of threats that were suspected of retaliation. On the morning of the weekend, when the merchants and staff of the shopping malls went to work, they discovered that the entire shopping mall was hung with blood-stained banners, "Murderers must pay with their lives." "Unscrupulous profiteers." Similar banners fluttered in the air. The entire entrance and hall of the shopping mall were dyed red by unknown blood. The strong fishy smell made people flinch at the sight of it. Although Xiao family started off in the department store industry, a few years ago, when the real estate industry was just starting to rise, Xiao Laoyizi also saw the business opportunity and threw himself into the real estate industry. Because he always had a very close relationship with Xiang City's officials, Xiao Laoyizi easily obtained internal information and purchased a planned old city district at the cheapest price. At that time, it was very difficult to demolish the old city district. The nail-biters were also very difficult to deal with. Xiao Laoyizi had always been used to being the only one in the world and was even more unable to understand the kind of feelings the poor people had towards their homes. At that time, he only spent money to clear out some local tyrants and carried out a forced and profiteering demolition. In the end, it actually caused people's lives. These matters were all investigated by Su Wan after she returned to the country. She herself was born in a wealthy family and understood the despicable ways of merchants, especially Xiao Laoyizi's style. 8 years ago, in order to make Su Wan and Xiao Jingmo break up, he could force Xiao family into bankruptcy. Then, what else could he not do? As a result, under the investigation, Su Wan unexpectedly got to know the victims of the violent demolition that year. At that time, Xiao family used their connections to suppress private matters and only compensated the victims' families with a sum of money. Money was indeed a good thing, but money could not buy back dead relatives. These years, those victims had no way to seek justice. Seeing Xiao family becoming more and more powerful, they became more and more powerless. In fact, they had thought of using radical violence to seek justice for themselves, but these years, they had suffered too much injustice. They no longer believed that the law would uphold justice for the poor. They were even worried that their families would suffer from Xiao family's revenge in the future. As the saying goes, the poor don't fight with the rich. Even if they were to risk their lives, they couldn't implicate their children and grandchildren. Until Su Wan found them, Su Wan naturally appeared as a victim. After all, the matter of Su family's bankruptcy had also been reported in the newspapers. After Su Wan promised to properly settle their families and arrange for them to all go abroad, finally, there was someone who was willing to stand up and fight to the death with Xiao family. Now, it was already not 8 years ago. 8 years ago, or even more than 10 years ago, demolition deaths occurred from time to time. But in this year and age, this kind of thing was very serious. Su Rui on the sickbed saw that Su Wan was only staring at the news and did not say a word. He simply closed the computer and narrowed his eyes at Su Wan. "You did it." Su Rui had never been able to learn such a roundabout method. He had always been very rough in business. Su Wan silently nodded. "I've long prepared it." "So?" Su Rui dragged out his words and looked at Su Wan with a profound gaze. "In the end, what's so special about Xiao Jingmo, to make you put in so much effort? You clearly could have hit the nail on the head and never let him turn over a new leaf. Why did you drag it out for so long?" Su Rui's tone was a bit complicated. He didn't want to admit that he was jealous. Hearing Su Rui's words, Su Wan became silent again. When she came out of the 9th Nightmare's world, she didn't even look and chose a low-level mission world to enter. After entering, Su Wan discovered that the main storyline this time was actually a substitute lover. This was actually the storyline that Su Wan was most unwilling to face. In terms of finance and business, Su Wan had always been outstanding. In this world, with her talent, it was actually very easy to play Xiao family to death, but Su Wan didn't go straight to the main topic in the beginning. She first came into contact with Luo Chu Chu, then Xiao Jing Mo. She slowly integrated into Xiao Jing Mo and Luo Chu Chu's life. No one knew what Su Wan was looking forward to. This is my matter. Finally, Su Wan lazily raised her eyes and deeply looked at Su Rui. You should also play enough. Don't keep staying in the hospital and not leave. My time is also running out. Su Wan didn't stay in the ward for long. After leaving the hospital, she first called the European headquarters. As expected, everyone requested to stop cooperating with Xiao family. And according to the contents of the previous contract, the one who had a credibility problem now was Haoyue Group. They didn't need to pay any compensation for terminating the contract. In fact, not only EVFA, many big brands also planned to start withdrawing from Xiao family's shopping mall. And today, Haoyue Group's stock had already hit the limit. The Crusade army on the internet was even more majestic and noisy. Haoyue Group practically changed from a local pillar enterprise to an unscrupulous profiteer in everyone's mouth within a day. And with a person claiming to be a family member of a victim of the demolition case 10 years ago exposing a video on the internet, it pushed this incident to the climax. Chapter 61. At 9:30 in the evening, Xiao Jing Mo walked to the reserved private room. Unsurprisingly, Su Wan had already arrived. She wore a white shirt and a light blue windbreaker was casually placed on the back of an empty chair. Seeing Xiao Jing Mo's figure, Su Wan's eyes brightened and immediately turned her line of sight without leaving a trace. Jing Mo, finish with your work. Xiao Jing Mo's tone revealed exhaustion. Now, not only did Haoyue's stock plummet, each partner requested to terminate the contract. Even the bank also wanted to terminate the loan relationship with Haoyue in advance because of the credibility problem. Of course, what was even worse was the pressure from the government. The murder case of that year was brought up again and someone was pressuring them from behind. Now, Xiao Leoyizi had been invited to assist in the investigation. Although nothing would happen to his grandfather, this was undoubtedly one disaster after another for the current Haoyue. The business world was like this. The day before, you might still be high in the clouds. Today, you will fall into a quagmire and be consigned to eternal damnation. This is for you. Su Wan's words interrupted Xiao Jing Mo's train of thought. He lowered his eyes and saw a check with 8 digits. This is all my savings in these few years. Su Wan's expression was especially solemn and serious. I can't help with anything on the headquarters side. This is the only thing I can do for you. Xiao Wan. Xiao Jing Mo's gaze congealed and he raised his hand and tightly held Su Wan's hand. Today, Xiao Jing Mo experienced the lowest point of his life. Not only those business partners, even his friends in Xiang City's circle began to throw stones at Xiao family when they were down. The only one who extended a helping hand to him was Su Wan. Perhaps this was the so-called "a friend in need is a friend indeed." Xiao Jing Mo suddenly thought of Luo Chu Chu. The two people also broke up. He thought that according to Luo Chu Chu's kind and pure personality, she might appear at this time, but that he didn't see Luo Chu Chu. Xiao Jing Mo's heart was somewhat strange and complicated. Whether it was his impoverished youth or now when he was at his lowest point, the one who accompanied him was Su Wan. Only Su Wan. Other people could only share his wealth with him. At this moment, Xiao Jing Mo suddenly rejoiced. Rejoiced that he still had Su Wan by his side. Rejoiced that he lost and regained this love. Unknowingly, Xiao Jing Mo's grip on Su Wan's hand became tighter and tighter. He held her as if he had the whole world. Su Wan just smiled gently and attentively looked at Xiao Jing Mo. If Xiao Jing Mo was attentive enough, he would have discovered that Su Wan's gentle eyes contained a dense coldness. In the past, the Xiao family still had people who could get through various joints of the connections, but now, they were not willing to take this risk. Xiao Jing Mo1. In the past, Xiao family still had people on top who could get through all the joints, but now they weren't willing to take this risk. Coupled with Fong family and other forces hitting them when they were down at this time, it made the entire Haoyue group in a precarious situation. Haoyue's shares fell and fell. Although it had already stabilized at a price, that was also the result of someone behind the scenes purchasing a large sum of money. Xiao Jingmo had no way to take back the shares. Haoyue Group had suffered a serious blow in all aspects. The liquid funds were completely insufficient, the bank loans were still constantly urging for payment, 8 out of 10 projects in hand had been stopped, and the company's employees' wages for this month had not yet been settled. Of company. Of won now of company of won to the of Jing Mo from won today, he. Winner takes all. That was all there was to it. From today onwards, Haoyue Group will change its surname to Fong. Politely shaking hands with Xiao Jingmo, Su Rui raised his eyebrows and whispered with a smile. Congratulations. Xiao Jingmo also smiled at Su Rui and took out 2 envelopes from his bosom. This is my resignation letter, and this. Xiao Jingmo took out a red envelope. The bright red color was particularly eye-catching. This is my and Su Wan's wedding invitation. Xiao Jingmo smiled as he watched Su Rui's face distort for a moment. He raised the invitation in his hand. When the time comes, please be sure to attend. After we get married, we will settle down abroad, and we may not have the chance to see you in the future. After saying this, Xiao Jingmo confidently turned around. He believed that even without the Xiao family, he still had the ability to make a comeback. Even if Fong Zimu won against Haoyue, so what? As long as he still had the ability, he could personally create one new Haoyue after another. As for Su Wan, there was only one in this world, and now, she belonged to him. Gazing at Xiao Jingmo's back as he turned and left, Su Rui firmly grasped the invitation in his hand. In the end, it actually turned into red powder. Marriage? Truly naive. Xiao family fell, Haoyue changed owners, but fortunately, Xiao Lei Yizi's illness was stabilized. Knowing that Xiao Jingmo and Su Wan decided to get married and then emigrate with him, this made Xiao Lei Yizi very happy. Now, they were not as good as before, but selling off all the fixed assets in their hands was also a considerable income. Xiao Jingmo did not want to leave any regrets. He spent a lot of money to book the best hotel in Xiang City and sent invitations to all the friends he knew. He wanted everyone to know that he, Xiao Jingmo, was not someone who could not afford to lose. Even if he, Xiao Jingmo, did not have Xiao family, did not have Haoyue, he still had the best fiancé in the world. At the same time, in EVFA's Huaxia headquarters, Su Wan also submitted her resignation letter and sent an invitation to Su Jia and Chen Wei. At this time, the news of Xiao Jingmo wanting to marry Su Wan had already spread to every corner of Xiang City. Everyone was discussing whether Xiao Jingmo was frustrated in the business world but triumphant in love, not loving the country but loving a beauty. So when they just received the invitation, Su Jia and Chen Wei's expressions were the same. The two people politely said congratulations and then inadvertently opened the invitation. After that, Su Jia, it must be that the way I opened the invitation was wrong. Chen Wei, your mother, I knew it was like this, that on the day of the wedding, Su Wan wore a pure white wedding dress and sat in the bride's resting room, letting the makeup artist next to her wipe her face here and there. She had been absent-mindedly looking at the mirror. The face in the mirror was not her original appearance. Looking at the woman in the mirror, Su Wan was like looking at a complete stranger. Creak. It was unknown when the resting room's door was pushed open from the outside. The person who came wore a pure black handmade suit, contrasting sharply with the white wedding dress on Soo-won's body. It's almost time to hold the ceremony. The low and pure male voice faintly revealed an excited and joyful tone. If I run away from the wedding now, is it too late? Soo-won indifferently turned around and met Soo-rue's bottomless black eyes. What do you think? Soo-rue walked a few steps forward and walked behind Soo-won. He raised his arms and gently wrapped her in front of him. Immediately, the entire Seong City's people will know that you, Soo-won, are Fong Zi-mu's newly married wife. As he said this, the smile on Soo-rue's lips became more and more intense. Right now, the entire hotel had been surrounded by the various media and TV stations that Soo-rue had invited. Not only did he want the entire Seong City to know that this woman was his wife, he also wanted Xiao Jing-mo to become the laughingstock of the entire Seong City. Looking at Soo-rue's fox-like smile in the mirror, Soo-won did not open her mouth to refute anything. She actually made this decision early on the day of the wedding. She wanted Xiao Jing-mo to truly taste the feeling of having nothing and living a life worse than death. At this time, in the hotel lobby, many guests were still whispering. In the same hotel, at the same time, even the same bride. The only two things that were different were the wedding lobby and the groom. When they received Fong family's invitation at the entrance of the hotel, they all felt that it was inconceivable, but most people still chose to go to the 5th floor of the hotel, which was Fong family's wedding venue. When the wedding ceremony officially began, looking at the newly married couple smiling sweetly on the red carpet, everyone couldn't help but keep quiet. There were countless flashes and shutters constantly interlacing. This would be the most grand and most topical wedding in Seong City this year. Xiao Wan. When Xiao Jing-mo stumbled to the wedding venue, Soo-won and Soo-rue were exchanging wedding rings. Looking at the two people who stood together like a pair of jade, Xiao Jing-mo's eyes reddened and his face carried an incredulous expression. Xiao Wan, what's going on here? Is it Fong Zi-mu who threatened you? Xiao family's wedding venue was downstairs and there were very few guests. An hour ago, Xiao Jing-mo couldn't get through to Soo-won's cell phone. But because Soo-won had sent him a message, telling him not to worry and to wait patiently, Xiao Jing-mo didn't feel that anything was wrong. Until the time of the wedding ceremony was getting closer and closer, some of the guests who came to the wedding banquet finally couldn't bear it and handed Fong family's invitation to Xiao Jing-mo's hands. The moment Xiao Jing-mo saw the invitation, his first feeling was that he didn't believe it, and the second thought was that Soo-won was threatened by Fong Zi-mu or was deceived by him. That was why he rushed over without a care in the world. The eyes of the media that were specially invited by Soo-rue all shone as they looked at the latest development of the matter. They couldn't wait to rush forward and give Xiao Jing-mo a character interview. Xiao Jing-mo, don't think too highly of yourself. Soo-rue subconsciously opened his mouth when he heard Xiao Jing-mo's words. He took a step forward and wanted to protect Soo-won behind him, but Soo-won lightly crossed Soo-rue's body. Carrying the long wedding dress, she walked step by step to the front of Xiao Jing-mo. Xiao Jing-mo, I voluntarily married Fong Zi-mu because I love him. No, impossible. Xiao Jing-mo looked at Soo-won in disbelief. He hurriedly raised his hand to grab Soo-won's wrist, but Soo-won quickly dodged it. Why is it impossible? He could get hit by a car for me, he could die for me. What can you do for me? Force my father to go bankrupt and almost die in the hospital? Or when I was wholeheartedly thinking about you, you kissed me with other women. Xiao Jing-mo, I hate you. Do you know that? Soo-won took another step forward and stared intently at Xiao Jing-mo's eyes. At that time, I was young and ignorant, so I liked you. Now, I've already woken up. You, Xiao Jing-mo. What do you have? Without Xiao family, you're nothing. You're not even as good as me, a woman. You can't compare to Fong Zimu in anything. Therefore, I love him. I originally don't love you. Su Wan and Su Rui's wedding was finally completed on time. Xiao Jingmo, who came to make a scene, finally left in a hurry because Xiao Laoyizi's old illness relapsed. When he left, his entire face was distorted. Su Wan knew that Xiao Jingmo had always been proud and selfish. He could allow himself to find a substitute to appease his lonely body and mind, but he wouldn't allow others to do anything that would let him down. The news of the wedding was quickly reported in all major media. 3 days after Su Wan and Su Rui's wedding, Xiao Laoyizi's old illness relapsed and he died in the hospital. And Xiao Jingmo took the remaining savings in his hands and disappeared from the sight of Xiang City's people. He wanted to take that money and go to a new city to stage a comeback. Wait until the day he returned to his hometown in glory, and then settle the accounts with Fong Zimu and Su Wan. After Xiao Jingmo disappeared, Fong family became the unrivaled overlord of Xiang City. Su Rui quickly arranged a new engagement for Fong Ziwen. Although Fong Ziwen couldn't let go of Xiao Jingmo, under Su Rui's supervision, Fong Ziwen had no choice but to gradually compromise. Su Wan was at ease as Fong family's nominal mistress. Every day, there would still be people who would report Xiao Jingmo's news to her on time. Although Xiao Jingmo, who was in a foreign land, had a start-up capital, his current business wasn't easy to do. Moreover, he was an outsider. In the eyes of the local businesses, he was even more of an eyesore. In the past, he was an all-powerful person in the business world. But now, he had a body full of skills but couldn't get the opportunity that he should have. With great difficulty, Xiao Jingmo managed to build a connection in Yun City. He thought that he could gain a firm foothold and from then on, he could display his skills. Who knew that the whole thing was a trap that had long been set up? When Xiao Jingmo was swindled penniless and wandered on the streets, he remembered Luo Chu-Chu's kindness. In fact, Luo Chu-Chu was really a good girl. Just that, he didn't know where she was right now. Some people were always greedy and didn't know how to cherish it. Every time, they had to wait until they lost it. Only then would they remember it and regret it. The rarest thing in the world was a single-minded sincerity. Su Wan obtained Xiao Jingmo's latest situation. She tried to contact the headquarters and got an affirmative reply that the mission was completed. So, it was time to leave. Su Wan didn't bid farewell to Su Rui. After contacting the headquarters to confirm her exit from the mission world, Su Wan quietly left Fong family by herself. At night, Su Rui returned to his bedroom and faced an empty room. The two people's wedding photo was still hanging on the bedside. Su Rui stared blankly at the photo. From marriage until now, they had been living separately. He liked her and wanted to be with her, but he would never force her. Su Rui thought that he would marry Su Wan one day. That would be a real marriage, in the lost time space, with the real her, forever together. Lost time space, plane destroyer headquarters. Su Wan left the execution room and returned to her residence. She habitually opened her communicator to check the mission points. Seeing the pitifully few mission points, Su Wan frowned. She opened the mission file that she had just finished sorting out and her eyes stayed on the contents inside. Xiao Jingmo wandered the streets and was hit by a speeding truck and became a vegetable. Because his identity was unknown, he was finally sent to a local welfare sanatorium. And Luo Chu-Chu, who was working in that sanatorium at that time, reunited with Xiao Jingmo. As for why Luo Chu-Chu left Xiang City and appeared in Yun City. Su Wan continued to look down and found out that everything was Su Rui's doing. He promised himself that he would not hurt Luo Chu-Chu, but he made Luo Chu-Chu's family very miserable. And in order to take care of her family, in order to repay the huge debt owed by her family, Luo Chu-Chu and Su Rui signed a contract similar to a slave contract, and her main task was to take care of Xiao Jing Mo in the sanatorium, who would never wake up again for a lifetime. So in this mission world, although she became Xiao Jing Mo's cannon fodder, Su Rui still forcibly tied Luo Chu Chu and Xiao Jing Mo's lives together. And according to the rules of the lost time-space, both her and Su Rui's missions were successful. The mission points of the same world were divided into two, so it was naturally pitiful. Su Wan sighed, really unlucky. She unwillingly pressed the button a few more times. Su Wan saw the newly refreshed mission list and did not hesitate to accept another mission that at the same time, plane repairer headquarters. Su Rui walked out of the execution room with an indifference that kept people 1,000 miles away. Along the way, all the people in the same department subconsciously avoided Su Rui, who didn't know that this guy was the new S-rank dangerous newcomer. It was said that all the mission targets he accepted, without exception, all had miserable endings. This kind of dangerous person with the temperament of an ultimate boss, it was better for us mortals to stay away from him. Su Rui was completely unaware of everyone's rejection or fear. He strolled near the mission hall and saw Qi Yu and Yunxing arguing about something. Didn't Su Ji warn you again and again? Why are you so inflexible? Yunxing's voice carried a trace of exasperation. Everyone said that he and Qi Yu were sworn enemies, but in Su Rui's view, these two people were very good friends. They were the kind of friends who competed with each other but could entrust their backs to each other. At this time, when Qi Yu heard Yunxing's words, he still disapproved. I've already spent the points and bought the location tracking device. Wouldn't it be a pity to give up now? At this time, the tracking device in Qi Yu's hand suddenly lit up with a red light. Coming. She actually entered the mission world so quickly. The expression on Qi Yu's face was somewhat excited. He checked his location tracking device while talking to himself. Su Wan, this time I won't lose to you again. Qi Yu hadn't finished speaking when he froze in place. His eyes widened as he watched his newly bought location tracking device being snatched away by another person. What kind of situation is this? Qi Yu angrily raised his head and met Su Rui's sharp and deep gaze. I want this thing. I'll transfer the points to you in a while. Indifferently leaving behind a sentence, Su Rui already turned and left while Yunxing and Qi Yu were still in a daze. Qi Yu, what does he mean? Do I lack those points? Yunxing, you don't lack points, you're stupid. Qi Yu. Yunxing, stop. I promise I won't beat you to death. Su Rui, who quickly returned to his room, had already begun to search for the mission world that was similar to Su Wan's in his communication device. If it wasn't for Qi Yu, Su Rui still wouldn't have known that he could use points to exchange for this kind of location tracking device in the headquarters shopping mall. This kind of location tracking device could only be used to track the current whereabouts of mission personnel from other departments. It was a one-time consumable item, but it was very useful. Holographic online game. When Su Rui found the mission world, he deeply wrinkled his brows for the first time. Chapter 62. In the lush forest, unknown wildflowers bloomed under the trees. Occasionally, there would be a cool breeze blowing, birds singing, and the fragrance of flowers. Su Wan opened her eyes and felt that she was sitting under a big tree. This tree was the same as the other trees in the forest. She couldn't name it, but it grew particularly lush. There was still a trace of sore and numb pain on her waist. Su Wan lowered her eyes and saw that the pure white robe was stained with a little bit of bright red. Is it blood? No, that's not right. There's no smell of blood. This is. Su Wan's thoughts moved and a transparent character panel immediately appeared in front of her. ID, Su Cheng Wanwu, gender, female, profession, priest, level, 11, affiliated guild, none, good and evil points, -867. This was the world of the world's first holographic online game launched by TX Company, Lingshan, and Su-won was currently in the game. This game was the world's most technologically advanced online game. Through the game cabin, it could directly connect to a person's brain waves. This was similar to when Su-won was performing a task in the execution cabin. This game could connect to a person's soul and let this person's potential be fully displayed here. Looking at her character level, Su-won was somewhat speechless. The novice level in this game world was level 10. She had now been killed to level 11. The misery of the situation could be seen from this. Immediately, Su-won opened her equipment panel again as Hwaxia's 4th district's most glorious violent priest. At this time, Su-won was only wearing the most tattered novice priest uniform. Lingshin was a game that directly connected to a person's spiritual consciousness, so it didn't have the character attributes of ordinary online games such as wisdom, strength, and so on. When each player first logs into the game, the highly intelligent game system will automatically match your basic attributes according to your physical fitness. These attributes will affect your operating awareness, but will not affect the character's level and attack power. In Lingshin, the attack power of each character depended on the skills and equipment on their body. The higher the skills and the better the equipment, the higher the character's attack power, and these 2 points were all based on the character's level. It can be said that this was a world where the weak are prey to the strong. Because most of the game resources were monopolized by the big guilds, the survival space of ordinary casual players was very small. Su-won let out a long breath and slowly stood up. At this time, the novice priest robe on her body was already full of dust and bloodstains. It was very obvious that just now, she had just escaped a new round of pursuit. This was really a case of a tiger being bullied by a dog. In this virtual world, all her previous advantages were gone. She was now facing a very bad situation. Su-won was sighing inwardly. Suddenly, a sudden burst of cold wind hit her. Su-won, who had keen senses, suddenly dodged and waved the priest's staff in her hand. She directly threw out a light bullet. The white ball of light hit the empty space in front of her. There was a ripple in the air and an assassin wearing a black leather armor appeared. At the same time, the number -80 floated above his head. You actually dodged it. The assassin looked at Su-won in surprise. He didn't think that she could dodge his backstab. Su-won looked at the acquaintance in front of her without any pause. Light bullets were thrown at the other party's body as if they were free. 80, -80, -80, -80. The number of bright red words continuously floated above the assassin's head, but he was calm and unruffled in the midst of the chaos. It didn't hurt nor itch. This game Lingshin actually had a real sense of pain, but the highest was only 15% of the feeling in reality. The lowest could still be adjusted to 5%. It was very clear that the damage caused by Su-won's attack to the other party was simply a drop in the bucket. There was no feeling at all. Su-won was also speechless about the attack power of her novice light bullet. Taking advantage of the other party not making any movements, Su-won once again threw out a light bullet. After that, she hurriedly used a novice speed increase on herself, wanting to escape without a trace. Right at this time, a huge ball of fire suddenly shrouded down from mid-air and directly fell on Su-won's body. This was a fire mage's firelight spell. The blazing fire instantly enveloped Su-won's entire body. 1888 instant kill. When Su-won opened her eyes again, she was already at the novice village's resurrection point. Casually checking her current attributes, Su-won's face immediately darkened. She was killed back to level 10 again. Level 10 was the novice level in Lingshin. Novice players at level 10 were not allowed to PK. They would not lose experience and could not be transported to other cities. Right now, it was already 3 months after the start of the game. There were still new people coming and going in the novice village, but it was already pitifully few. Su Wan walked on the rundown street of the novice village, thinking about the main storyline of this mission world. The main storyline of this world happened in Lingshan, this holographic online game. The male lead, Yi Tian, was a standard nouveau riche, tall, rich, and handsome. He loved online games since he was young. 5 years ago, he established Shirtian Guild and he became the guild leader. His ID was D Shirtian. When Lingshan was in beta, all members of Shirtian Guild participated in the beta test. After the open beta, Yi Tian led his own guild to enter Huaxia's 4 districts and became the overlord of the 4 districts. It was worth mentioning that Su Wan was not only the vice leader of Shirtian Guild, but also Yi Tian's wife. In the world of online games, the ratio of men and women had always been unbalanced. And to be like Su Wan, who always played games, had good PK skills, and was also young and beautiful, it was really rare. So when she just joined Shirtian Guild 5 years ago, Su Wan became the target of everyone's pursuit. And at the first offline gathering of the guild, Su Wan fell in love with the handsome Yi Tian at first sight. Later on, things happened very naturally. One was affectionate and one was interested. Soon, the 2 people became a couple in the game. In the following few years, every time the game was changed, Su Cheng Wanyu and Di Shirtian were the model couple in everyone's eyes. Until Lingshan's open beta, when the server just opened, all of Lingshan's systems were not all opened at once. This included the very popular marriage system. After the server opened, Su Wan was the same as before. She led the brothers of Shirtian to level up at the fastest speed and occupied some of the main monster leveling points. Although Su Wan's identity was the vice leader, everyone privately called her the leader's wife. Su Wan also kept waiting for the marriage system to open and marry Yi Tian again in the game. But the direction of the plot this time was destined to disappoint Su Wan. Although Yi Tian's time in the game was less than Su Wan's, his level had always been the highest in the whole district. In the entire Huaxia's 4 districts, as long as Di Shirtian, this swordsman, appeared, the rest of the people would all retreat and flee. This kind of lonely feeling of an expert made Yi Tian feel very bored. And when he was extremely bored, he accidentally saw a level 10 Smurf in a level 50 monster dense area. That Smurf was called Hui Mao Yi Xiao. She wore a tattered beginner priest robe and had a neat ponytail. She looked like a very young and naive silly little girl. Hui Mao Yi Xiao was naturally the female protagonist of this mission world. She was a game noob and also had a poor sense of direction. She just left the beginner village and because she couldn't automatically transfer to the main city, she had to run to the map. As a result, she didn't pay attention and ran to the wrong map. Fortunately, the monsters in this area were all passive attacks. But being surrounded by a large group of very terrifying tall red-letter monsters, it also made Hui Mao Yi Xiao feel goosebumps in her heart. And at this time, Hui Mao Yi Xiao saw Di Shirtian in the middle of the large group of monsters, wearing a set of glittering golden light. At first, this girl treated him as a big wild boss, watching and posing. Finally, when Di Shirtian opened his mouth to talk to her, Hui Mao Yi Xiao immediately became stupefied. Just like this, Yi Tian and Hui Mao Yi Xiao hooked up. No, it was a fated encounter. Then, there were all kinds of teasing and all kinds of help. Finally, our family Shirtian Guild's leader directly pulled Hui Mao Yi Xiao into the guild and opened up all kinds of privileges to her. Because Yi Xiao's entire person looked silly and adorable, seeing everyone calling Big Brother, the other backbones in the guild liked her very much. Of course, Su Wan was an exception. A woman's intuition had always been accurate. Su Wan keenly felt Yi Tian's interest and specialness towards Hui Mao Yi Xiao. This made her feel very uncomfortable in her heart. Hui Mao Yi Xiao was a noob in the game. Not only did she not know anything, she also often caused trouble for the guild. Su Wan brought people to clean up her mess again and again, and after returning, she still had to appease the other people in the guild. And Yi Tian. No matter what Hui Mao Yi Xiao did, he felt that it was very pleasing to the eye and liked it very much. Sure enough, being favored is always the happiest. Later, Yi Tian went from bad to worse, openly showing affection to Hui Mao Yi Xiao in the guild. This made Su Wan lose a lot of face. She contacted Yi Tian in reality, hoping that he would give her an explanation. As a result, Yi Tian told her, they used to get married in the game just for fun, it didn't count. He also never did anything intimate to her, so they were never a couple. That night, Su Wan stayed in the room alone and cried until midnight. She felt very uncomfortable if Yi Tian didn't treat her as his girlfriend, then every time when people called her sister-in-law in offline gatherings, why didn't he explain? Everyone played late at night and stayed overnight in the hotel. They were arranged to be in the same room. Why did he tacitly agree? Even if nothing happened between them, this kind of thing had happened more than once. What would the other people in the guild think? In the past, there was even a person in Shirtian Guild who had always been secretly in love with Su Wan and even confessed to her in private. As a result, because of Yi Tian's existence, Su Wan rejected him. That person also tore off all pretenses of cordiality with Yi Tian in the game. In the end, he left Shirtian Guild and established himself from then on. Scenes from the past, Su Wan felt that she was deceived by Yi Tian. He used ambiguity as a net to stick to her in her heart, but in the next moment, he was showing his true love to another woman. Su Wan hated Yi Tian and hated Hui Mao Yi Xiao even more. Other people all said how innocent Yi Xiao Mimi was, how adorably silly and cute. Su Wan only felt that Hui Mao Yi Xiao was very hypocritical. She clearly knew that Su Wan and Yi Tian were a publicly recognized couple. No one in the guild dared to be too close to Yi Tian in front of Su Wan, but Hui Mao Yi Xiao relied on the so-called adorably silly she called Tian Gij all day long, and her words were full of intimacy. Su Wan didn't like this kind of seemingly silly and sweet woman, but in fact, she actually did some things to break up other people and then had an innocent face. Thinking back to the beginning, she had set her sights on Yi Tian. No matter how outstanding and infatuated the other man was, she was unmoved. At that time, as long as Su Wan was willing to be a bit more ambiguous, or even slightly give that man a glimmer of hope, she wouldn't be reduced to this state right now, right? That's right, the man who had always been secretly in love with her was the current leader of the second largest guild in Huaxia District 4, Wolf's Fang, Lone Wolf. After breaking off relations with Yi Tian that year, Lone Wolf founded the Wolf's Fang Guild and had been going against Shirtian. In the countless fights between the two large guilds, Su Wan also put in a lot of effort. There was even one time, in a particularly important guild war, she also used a scheme to bring people to personally take care of Lone Wolf. This made Lone Wolf's love for her turn into hatred. From then on, the two people became enemies that wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. Of course, Su Wan never regretted falling out with Lone Wolf and becoming enemies. But what made her most unbearable was that after she left Shirtian, Lone Wolf also sent people to kill her. And the reason for killing her was actually also because of Hui Mao Yi Xiao. Su Wan only felt a mouthful of old blood welling up, wanting to vomit but unable to spit it out. This is life. The life of a cannon fodder and the female lead's life, there simply wasn't too much of a difference, okay? First chapter, 3,500 words. Because this is not a professional online game novel, so if there are any bugs in this volume, please ignore it. Chapter 63. After the original owner, Su Wan, was broken up, she went online the next day and left Shirtian Guild and joined Huaxia District 4's third guild, Xiaoyao Pavilion. On that day, Su Wan brought a team of Xiaoyao Pavilion's elite team to kill Hui Mao Yi Xiao, who had just risen to level 45 in the wild. This kind of situation where rival guilds killed each other was the most common in Lingshan and even in major PK online games. Su Wan just couldn't swallow that anger and must personally kill Hui Mao Yi Xiao to vent her anger. But what she didn't expect was that her action actually made Yi Tian truly fly into a rage for a beauty. On that night, Shitian Guild declared war on Xiaoyao Pavilion. Xiaoyao Pavilion's leader, Shirley Hua Mei, was a female fire mage. She and Su Wan were also online friends who had known each other for many years. For the friendship between the two people, Shirley Hua Mei did not compromise with Di Shitian. The final result was naturally being killed miserably by Shitian Guild and losing the guild stronghold that they had always occupied. Xiaoyao Pavilion, who lost their stronghold, suddenly fell from the 3rd place in the district to outside the top 10. Even so, Yi Tian still didn't vent his hatred. He said in the World Channel that as long as Su Qing Wanyu was still in Xiaoyao Pavilion, he would fight to the death with Xiaoyao Pavilion for a day. A man who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance to this point, to put it nicely, was an overbearing CEO who took revenge for his little goblin. To put it bluntly, he was a narrow-minded bastard who only knew how to bully women. Regardless of whether Yi Tian liked Su Wan or not, at least Su Wan sincerely liked him for 5 years. For 5 years, she wholeheartedly did it for him and never did anything to let him down. He did this. Was he really a man of character? Surely Hua Mei had a fiery temper. Hearing Yi Tian's heroic words, this girl actually really planned to fight to the death with Yi Tian. And Su Wan didn't want to implicate Hua Mei, so she took the initiative to leave the guild. Su Wan, whose heart was broken by Yi Tian, wandered alone through the game map, leaving her and Yi Tian's footprints one after another in the Lover's Holy Land. When she passed by the Wishing Tree map, Su Wan saw Hui Mao Yi Xiao and Lone Wolf talking and laughing together. At this moment, new hatred and old hatred welled up in Su Wan's heart. She almost didn't think and used a big move, killing Hui Mao Yi Xiao again. Well, there was no after. At this time, Su Wan gloomily looked at the novice priest staff in her hand. She killed Hui Mao Yi Xiao twice. Yi Tian and Lone Wolf issued a kill order in the whole server. They were determined to kill her until she deleted her account and didn't play anymore. Lingshan, as the only holographic online game in the world, has now occupied 80% of the global online game industry. Almost everyone is playing Lingshan. Moreover, according to the rules of Lingshan, each legal citizen can only have one account. Once registered, unless you delete the account and never log in, otherwise, you can't change your profession and ID. You can't even create your own alternate account. When Su Wan entered the mission, it was already the 5th time the original Su Wan was killed back to the novice village. The first time she was killed to level 10, she dropped a lot of top-quality equipment. At that time, Su Wan was not reconciled. She leveled in the wild overnight. As a result, because she was too loyal to Yi Tian when she was in Shitian, she offended too many guilds and unaffiliated smurfs, causing her to automatically attract hatred wherever she went. Just like that, she resisted again and was killed back to the newbie village. In this virtual world, level is especially important. Without the corresponding level, you can't wear good equipment and can't use the corresponding high-level skills. The original Su Wan had the most powerful priest skills in the whole district, but at this time, she could only incomparably sullenly shrink in the novice village. If Su Wan didn't enter the mission at this time, perhaps the original Su Wan would be like the original plot, deleting the account and going offline at this time. After all, she was only canon fodder number 1 with the title of Yi Tian's ex-girlfriend, and was also the number 1 canon fodder love rival that the female lead, Hui Mao Yi Xiao, conquered. After this, Lingshan will be updated and a brand new boss instance will be opened. The competition between the major guilds will only enter a white-hot stage at this time, and after the instance competition, the system will open the cross-regional channel. The whole of Huaxia has a total of 8 regions. After the cross-regional channel is opened, the cross-regional battles of the 8 major war zones will also start. At that time, the real geniuses will come forth in large numbers. And in this game world where elites gather, Hui Mao Yi Xiao is like opening the invincible Mary Sue halo. Wherever she goes, the Mary Sue halo shines on the earth, automatically attracting the love and pursuit of various local tycoons. From then on, the battles of the 8 major war zones will simply become a battle for the female lead. Thinking about it makes one drunk. Su Wan didn't continue to think about the future plot. She inquired about the inventory in her warehouse at the novice village's warehouse manager. Her previous equipment was all gone, and her level also dropped to level 10. Fortunately, the life skills she learned before were still there, and her warehouse also had a large number of various ores and fabrics that she had never used before. Looking at her current possessions, Su Wan pondered for a while and simply closed her eyes to exit the game. Waking up from the game connection cabin, Su Wan discovered that it was already 5:00 in the afternoon in the real world. She went to the bedside and turned on her computer to inquire about Lingshan's official website. Sure enough, the official website had already released the latest news. After a week, the first large-scale system update after the open beta will be carried out. After that, a brand new boss instance will be launched. In this instance, not only will it produce the latest sets, but it will also produce several kinds of special equipment materials. And high-level materials and sets have always been the things that the major guilds must fight over, and it is also the foundation of the major guilds. Su Wan knows that after the system update, whether it is Yi Tian or Lone Wolf, they will be entangled in the new instance. At that time, they won't have time to care about her. This is her only chance to turn things around. Su Wan decided to grasp this opportunity. She wants to temporarily leave the game for a week, creating the illusion that she has already left the game, so that no one will continue to pay attention to her. And after a week, she will log in again and find someone to bring her to level. As for who that person is, Su Wan also has the best candidate. That when Su Wan went offline to formulate a strategic goal, in a private villa in another city, Su Rui expressionlessly exited from the game connection cabin. Who can tell him, in the end, what the hell is the so-called ice mage? What he wants is a swordsman. Do you understand a swordsman? Young master. Seeing Su Wan's unkind complexion, the middle-aged housekeeper who has been guarding next to the connection cabin looked at him somewhat worriedly. Do you want to replenish some nutrient solution? Right now, the housekeeper uncle was deeply worried about his family's young master's body. With the young master's thin and weak physique, he could only choose the mage profession in Lingshan. Fortunately, the Situ family lacked everything but money, so after spending a lot of money to build it, the young master's mage character, Night Rain, has already become Huaxia's 6th district's #1 ice mage. However, the young master still seems to be dissatisfied. He desperately trained and spent most of his time in the game every day. Now that the server has been open for only 3 months, the average level of everyone in the game is 50, and his family's young master's level is already 66, the first in the whole district. At this moment, hearing the housekeeper uncle's words, Su Wan just shook his head. He can feel his body full of energy. After all, in the lost time space, every mission enforcer can use the points to exchange for a golden finger to carry around in the mission world. This golden finger is not too thick, but it's better than nothing. Just like how Su Wan's cheat allowed her to use her real name in every world, Su Rui chose to use his original body in every world. This is also a useless choice for others, but for Su Wan, it's the biggest golden finger. The original Situ Yi wholeheartedly wanted to be a night assassin, but his body was weak and sickly, his spiritual power was weak, and the assassin profession also required superb sensitivity and reaction. Sitiyi simply could not do it. As for warriors and swordsmen, a weak chicken young master who can't even lift a heavy sword, you better not have too much hope for him. Therefore, Sitiyi chose a mage, which is the same as a priest, a long-range magic attack profession that doesn't require much physical strength. And now, everything is about to change with Su Wan's arrival. Su Wan lowered his eyes and thought of his character attributes in the game. ID, Knight Range, Gender, Male Profession, Mage Level, 66 Affiliated Guild, Eternal Knight, Good and Evil Value, 0. The previous Sitiyi was not a belligerent. He only thought about raising his level, so in the 3 months since the server opened, he actually didn't kill a single person. Of course, this also stemmed from the fact that the other elders of the Eternal Knight Guild protected their noble and weak president too thoroughly. I'm going to rest, call me at 8 p.m. sharp. In his heart, he was still recalling the mission plot of this world. Thinking that he still had to wait at least a month before his character could cross over to another district, Su Wan's heart was a bit irritated. He knew that Su Wan was in the 4th district and her current situation was very bad. However, Su Wan believed that even if the situation was worse, Su Wan would definitely be able to pull through. Su Wan, you just wait for me. All the people who chased after you, I will kill them until they delete their accounts and don't play anymore. No, not only that, even if they go offline, I will also use the power of the Situ family to make them unable to live in reality. Don't be afraid of a hoodlum with culture, just be afraid of a mage who knows martial arts. The most violent mage in the history of Lingshan is about to be born, what is called a real humanoid big boss. Please look at our family's General Su. What is the thickest and biggest golden thigh in the entire server? Please look at our family's General Su. Su Wan, little darling, quickly come to my bowl, our family's General Su dotes on you. Chapter 64. After leaving the game world for 3 days, Su Wan hadn't been idle these days. She first withdrew all her savings from the bank and opened an account at the exchange to start a short-term investment. After that, Su Wan resigned from her original job and then sent a job application letter to a game studio through an email. The rest of the free time, Su Wan used it all for leisure and relaxation. She didn't have many friends in reality. Because everyone was busy with work, they rarely came in contact. But her friend in the game, Shirley Huamei, saw that Su Wan had not been online. She finally couldn't help but call Su Wan and ask about her recent situation. Because the two people happened to be in the same city, Su Wan asked her to meet at a coffee shop. Shirley Huamei's name was Su Hua. She was not tall like in the game, but she was particularly spirited. She was also very enthusiastic and righteous. Because the two people met in the game, they still habitually called each other's game ID. Wan Yu, you won't really stop playing, right? After asking for a cup of Blue Mountain, Su Hua looked at Su Wan across from her with some regret. She was also a fanatical online game enthusiast. In these years, the only game netizen who made her admire and took the initiative to make friends was only Su Wan. Although Su Hua was not in Shirtian Guild, they went through a lot of games together in the past few years. What Su Wan paid for Shirtian, Su Hua was very clear. Now that Yi Tian said that he didn't want her anymore. This made Su Hua feel extremely angry from the bottom of her heart. Hua Mei, I won't quit. Su Wan unhurriedly drank a mouthful of coffee, then raised her eyes and looked at Su Hua seriously. I just want to have a good rest these days. After the game updates next Tuesday, I will go online. Is that so? Hearing Su Wan's words, Su Hua's eyes lit up. As the leader of a guild, Su Hua was naturally very concerned about the new version of the game update. She knew that the new instance would make the major guilds spend a lot of energy. Almost in an instant, Su Hua became aware of Su Wan's thoughts. "Wan Yu, you're smart to do this. How about this? After you go online, join Xiaoya Pavilion and I'll bring you to level." "No, no need." Su Wan indifferently rejected Su Hua's good intentions. "Hua Mei, your guild has fallen behind a lot. You don't have to worry about me anymore. I've already found people to help me. They will help me level." "Oh." Su Hua froze for a moment because in the 4th district, not many people dared to offend Di Shitian and Du Lang so brazenly like her. Who was the person Su Wan was talking about? At this time, in the center of another city, in the Hurricane Online game studio, a cold-looking man was staring blankly at an email in his mailbox. This was a cover letter, a very special cover letter. The person who wrote the letter was the most popular figure in District 4, Su Chengwanyu. The man was very familiar with this ID. In the past few years, he had a lot of dealings with Shitian Guild and Su Chengwanyu was Shitian's former vice president. From dominating the entire server's guild's vice guild leader to the street rat that everyone in the game wanted to beat up. Don't say that Su Chengwanyu was a woman, even if she was a big man. She's afraid that right now, she wouldn't have any lofty aspirations. But, the man moved his fingers and slid the mouse to the end of the cover letter. There was even a bank account number and an encrypted password symbol attached to it. After easily cracking the password, the man used his personal computer to log into that bank account. Seeing the balance inside, the man subconsciously narrowed his eyes. What a good Su Chengwan you are. After knowing her for so long, this was really the first time he had a whole new level of respect for her. A week's time passed. With the update of the new version, the game world once again ushered in the same kind of bustling scene as when the beta test was in full swing. After a week, Su Wan logged into the game again. She was still in the novice village. She went out of the village entrance with ease and went to the west side of the village to fight monsters. Rising from level 10 to 11 didn't require too much experience. After Su Wan used her beginner light bullet technique to kill dozens of cute little white rabbits, her whole body flashed with white light and her character leveled up. After leveling up, Su Wan didn't stay in the same place. She continued to go deep into the next map, Yangchuan Plain. This was a leveling area around level 13. It was the most suitable place for Su Wan to level up now. This kind of novice leveling map already had very few people passing by. Su Wan fighting monsters from a distance was especially easy. In less than an hour, Su Wan rose to level 14. Level 15 was a checkpoint. To level up to level 15, she must go to the outskirts of Longqing to fight level 15 monsters. Longqing was currently the largest main city in Lingshan. Every character had the qualifications to enter the city after reaching level 15. After leaving their name card at the Longqing courier station, they could use the city return scroll to teleport back to Longqing from any place. Also, if you use a locator, you can also set your resurrection point at the center of Longqing. Su Wan hesitated at the entrance of the map on the outskirts of Longqing. In a flash, she entered the map entrance. When she opened her eyes again, what entered her eyes was no longer a plain, but a lush and verdant forest. Here was the place where she was killed last time. Remembering the memory of the original owner being killed every time she rose to level 15, Su Wan's expression became a bit more dignified. She carefully observed everything around her. Fortunately, at this time, most people were watching the excitement at the entrance of the new instance. Right now, there were only pure noobs fighting monsters in the outskirts of Longqing, and those noobs were obviously not familiar with Su Chengwanyu, this famous ID. It seems that she didn't wait in vain this week. Su Wan found a place with a lot of monsters and began to level alone. Fighting monsters and leveling was actually a very boring thing. Moreover, the tree demons and lantern monsters in the outskirts of Longchain were simply far from those cute monsters in the novice village. Fortunately, Su-won wasn't an ordinary girl. She didn't feel anything towards these sinister monsters. Instead, a young girl's panicked voice could be heard from time to time from a leveling team not far away. Yeah. It's coming. So scary. Woo woo woo, this monster's death is really too unsightly. Su-won heard that voice and just casually glanced at it. She saw that the 3 people in the novice team were all 15 or 16 years old students and understood. Although that girl's voice was a bit noisy, Su-won didn't feel disgusted. Girls at this age should be this innocent and a little cute. Compared to Hui Mao Yi Xiao, that kind of person who was clearly in her 20s but still had a childish face, there was really a big difference. The world is so chaotic, who are you pretending to be pure for? Yeah. Why is there a red circle under its feet? It was still that crisp female voice. This time, her tone was full of amazement. This is called a small boss in the wild. The teammate on the side quickly answered her doubts. Su-won's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of their conversation. She came back to her senses and sure enough, she saw a tree demon boss stepping on a circle of light being surrounded by those 3 newcomers. It was clearly their first time encountering a boss in the wild. The 3 people were flustered. Because their levels weren't high and the equipment on their bodies wasn't good, the warrior captain in the team was quickly hit by the boss to half of his HP. Xiao Wu, quickly heal your brother. The male mage called Binghua Walker surrounded the boss and desperately released small ice arrows from a distance while reminding the female priest on the side. The target of his words was precisely the girl who just spoke the most. Her ID was Wu Baobao. Hearing Binghua Walker's words, Wu Baobao hurriedly waved her priest staff. She was just about to release a skill when that tree demon boss suddenly extended countless branches and released a group attack. Yeah. My HP dropped. Wu Baobao was scared badly. She retreated a few steps in a panic. Seeing that her HP had dropped, she immediately subconsciously added HP to herself. And at this time, the warrior on the side only had a trace of HP left. If the warrior, this MT, fell, then the other 2 people could really directly commit suicide and return to the city. It was at this time that the warrior's body was suddenly bathed in a layer of faint fluorescent light, then a series of numbers floated above his head, +100, +100, +100. Priest's healing skill. Wu Baobao and Binghua Walker subconsciously turned their heads and saw a young woman wearing a priest robe standing behind them with indifferent brows. Don't look at me, continue to fight monsters. Oh. Binghua Walker immediately turned around and continued to fight monsters, while Wu Baobao's eyes sparkled as she stared at the ID on top of this priest's head that suddenly appeared, Su Chengwanyu. Wu Baobao felt that she couldn't calm down anymore. It's Su Chengwanyu. It's really Su Chengwanyu. Idle Darren. I finally saw a living one today. Chapter 65. With Su-won's participation, the original 3-person team's process of fighting the boss became very smooth. When the tree demon boss was ground to the last trace of HP, a dialogue suddenly popped up in front of Su-won. Windless invited you to join his team. Do you want to join? Windless was that warrior's ID. He had never said a word. He was clearly a young and tender youth, but he was surprisingly calm. Berserker, Windless. Information about this person flashed through Su-won's mind. In the original plot, Windless had also made great contributions to the entire Huaxia region on the battlefield. He was a very powerful berserker. Only, in the original plot, he always acted alone and did not join any guild, nor did he join any studio or team. This kind of person was worth making friends with. Su Wan clicked yes. After Su Wan joined the team, that small wild boss's HP was also empty. Its huge body fell to the ground, splashing up a cloud of dust. Then, the ground was covered with spoils of war. In addition to the most common silver coins and medicine, there were also 3 pieces of equipment: a level 15 assassin's blue armor, a level 18 blue warrior's shield, and the last piece was a mage's gauntlet. It was actually a high-quality purple equipment. This kind of drop rate was already quite good. Su Wan felt that their team's character was still quite good. Wow! Purple equipment. Binghua Walker, who was at the side, didn't care and immediately picked up the purple equipment and put it into his bag. Because the lowest level of purple equipment was level 20, he, who had just reached level 15, simply couldn't wear it. Windlass seemed to have already gotten used to his casual attitude. He turned around and picked up the warrior's shield and then looked at Su Wan. "Wan Yu, you can't use any of these equipment. I'll take them all and give you the equivalent gold coins, how about it?" In Lingshan world, 1,000 silver coins were equal to 1 gold coin. Now, the gold coins in the game and the currency in the real world were exchanged for 10 gold coins equal to 1 yuan. In the future, along with the gradual improvement of the game system, the entire Lingshan world will truly become humanity's second world. The gold coins here are not only more valuable than the currency in the real world, even the real estate and shops in Lingshan world will be more popular and expensive than the real world. When Su Wan heard Windlass' words, she just smiled. She could also see that Windlass should also be a RMB player. Otherwise, in the increasingly difficult environment in the future, it would be impossible for him to survive alone. "I don't lack money, and I didn't do much today. Let's just be friends." Saying this, Su Wan sent friend requests to the 3 of them. Once they were all confirmed, Su Wan left the team without hesitation. Idle. At this time, Wu Baobao, who seemed to have been in a daze, finally came back to her senses and loudly called out to Su Wan, "Idle, why are you only level 15? In fact, Wu Baobao had been in a daze ever since Su Wan joined the team. Because she saw Su Wan's level in the team column, this made Wu Baobao completely unable to believe it. In her mind, her idol should be the best priest in the whole server. Even if he wasn't level 60, he should be at least level 55. What the hell was level 15? Su Wan's footsteps didn't stop. "It's nothing. I just got killed by an enemy and dropped a level." Lightly leaving behind these words, Su Wan left without turning her head back. "This time, I owe you a favor." In the friends column, Wu Fing silently sent a sentence. Su Wan glanced at it and closed the dialogue box. She wasn't a person who liked to do good deeds. Today, she helped them and indeed wanted that Wu Fing to owe her a favor. Looking at Su Wan's departing figure, the 3 people stared blankly for a good while. After a long while, Hua Binqing suddenly shouted, I remember. Didn't they say yesterday that I have a classmate's older brother in Shirtian Guild who can recommend us to join the guild? I seem to have heard him say that Shirtian Guild recently had a big change. Could it be related to Su Qingwanyu? You guys wait, I'll go ask him." Immediately, Hua Binqing opened a certain profile picture in his friends column and carried out a message chat with him. A moment later, Hua Binqing's expression became very strange. "Cousin brother, Xiao Wu, that classmate's older brother said that Su Qingwanyu already withdrew from Shirtian Guild. Also, recently, Di Shirtian and Du Lang issued a wanted order to kill her. All the people who received the wanted order only need to kill Su Qingwanyu by 1 level and they can automatically receive the bounty on the wanted order. Di Shirtian, Du Lang. Aren't those 2 people sworn enemies?" Actually, according to Wu Fing's personality, he didn't like to be restrained and didn't plan to join any guild. It's just that his younger sister liked Su Qingwanyu very much. This time, he brought his younger sister and his cousin into the game together. Originally, he planned to join Shirtion Guild according to his younger sister's wish. He didn't expect that such a thing would actually happen in Shirtion. Along with Hua Binqing's narration, Wu Baobao also knew about Su Qingwanyu, Di Shirtion, Hui Mao Yi Xiao and Du Lang's complicated four-corner relationship. Understanding the general situation, Wu Baobao immediately waved the priest's staff in her hand. Too much bullying. A group of sluts. To actually dare to bully my idol Darren like that. Gidge, you're the best. You must help my idol Darren take revenge. Take revenge. Find the level 65 Di Shirtion. Or find the level 64 Du Lang. Or find the level 55 Hui Mao Yi Xiao. Right now, Wu Baobao seemed to have forgotten that her big brother was also only level 15. Let's make the best use of our time to level up. I will return the favor I owe her. After Su Wan left, she didn't know that those three people had already automatically regarded themselves as people in Su Wan's camp. Right now, Su Wan's experience was 80% of level 15. She wanted to wait until level 16 to enter Dragon City and see the situation. Right at this time, a familiar cold wind suddenly attacked from behind. Backstab skill. There's an assassin. Su Wan's whole body tensed up. Even if she was wearing a long priest's robe, she still nimbly dodged. The ice-cold hidden weapon brushed against the corner of her clothes. Even if it was just a little bit, it still hit Su Wan's 999 horsepower. Right now, her character's HP was suddenly reduced by half. Su Wan nimbly threw a primary healing skill on herself, and a second later, a fluorescent light bathed Su Wan's whole body from top to bottom. Advanced healing skill. A woman wearing a pure white priest's robe slowly walked out from behind a tree at the side. That noble and elegant robe fluttered without any wind. Lemon is not sour, level 60 priest. Su Wan recognized the female priest in front of her. She was wearing a priest's robe called Light of Faith. Currently, there was only one such robe in the entire region. Su Wan had once brought Shirtion's people to grind the instance for 3 days and 3 nights. Unfortunately, after she was chased by Di Shirtion and Lone Wolf, this equipment dropped. She didn't expect that it would actually appear on Lemon is not sour's body. Long time no see. Lemon is not sour was a woman who wasn't too beautiful. Her body carried a kind of indifference that pushed people 1,000 miles away. Right now, her tone was also indifferent and her ordinary face didn't have much expression. Supreme Zune, your wife has always been this expressionless. What do you think? Su Wan just smiled at Lemon is not sour. Then she turned around and looked at the assassin who had just appeared behind her. Supreme Zune, Huaxia's 4th District's number 1 assassin. He was currently wearing the current top-notch assassin's outfit, Knight. The weapon that just attacked Su Wan was Supreme Zune's special hidden weapon, Knight's Breath. Hearing the ridicule in Su Wan's tone, Supreme Zune just slightly raised his eyes. I haven't seen you for a period of time and you've actually learned to be humorous. It seems that after leaving Di Shirtion that guy, your IQ has also recovered a lot. Su Wan declined to comment, but her gaze was firmly fixed on Ji Zune's grave and stern face. Supreme Zune raised his eyebrows at Su Wan and directly threw her a team request. When Su Wan entered the team, she then discovered that there were 2 other people in the team, Horizontal Blade Horse, level 62 warrior. 0 degree combustion, level 63 mage. Right now, the other 2 people were not on the same map as them. The 2 people's avatars were gray, but in the team panel, they could still be used to chat with them. Horizontal Blade Horse, welcome to the Hurricane team. 0 degree combustion, Goddess Wanyu, please take care of me. Lemon is not sour, quiet. 0 degree combustion, woo woo woo, sister-in-law is so fierce, I'm so scared. Goddess Wanyu, please take care of me. Su Cheng Wanyu. Chapter 66. In the world of Lingshan, in addition to the various large guild organizations, there were also a lot of private teams and online game studios mixed in. However, most of the studios were based on the premise of profit. Snatching bosses, using underhanded methods, killing people and stealing goods, this kind of thing was a common occurrence for them. And it's not like they haven't done this kind of thing before. However, in the world of Lingshan, when the online game changed from virtual to infinitely close to reality, many studios struggled in this world and didn't dare to be presumptuous easily. After all, no matter how many bad things you did in the past, no one knew who you were. Even if you were a man or a woman, there was no way to verify. But here, everyone showed their true face and couldn't set up a smurf and change their ID. If a person's reputation was bad, he really couldn't mingle in this world anymore. However, there were exceptions to everything. Among the numerous online game studios, there was such an exception. They were the Hurricane Studio. Rather than saying that they were a studio, it would be better to say that they were a small team. The captain of this small team was Supreme Zune and the team members were Lemon Not Sour, Horizontal Blade Horse and 0 Degree Burning. Their studio was famous for killing people and stealing goods in various major games. Now that they came to Lingshan, the 4 people still didn't know how to restrain themselves. Those scattered people who trained alone and some members of small guilds loved and hated this studio that often snatched people's bosses and exploded people's equipment. What they hated was that their shameless behavior was monstrous. What they loved was that today, when all the large guilds occupied all the high-level training points, only Hurricane Studio could survive in the cracks. As long as you have money, they can bring you to level up and bring you to fly. Soaring to level 30 in a day is not a dream. At that time, Suwon also valued this point, so she decided to join the Hurricane Studio and cooperate with Supreme Zune. Now in this kind of situation, only the people from Hurricane Studio had the ability to bring her to restore her level in a short period of time. As long as she restored to level 45, she could use the resurrection technique and wear high-level equipment. Su Wan would no longer be afraid of those people who chased after her. Of course, when the original Su Wan was chased before, it wasn't that she didn't think of hiring a studio to help her level up, but at that time, she was in the limelight and no one dared to help her. Moreover, ordinary workshops were no match for these 2 guilds. In this district, the only workshop that did not fear the 2 guilds was the Hurricane Workshop. Although there were few people in Hurricane, each and every one of them was an elite. The 4 of them were all famous figures in their region's rankings, and their boss, Supreme Ji, was also the region's top assassin. This kind of assassin who could stealthily assassinate people, and there was also a high-level priest by his side to assist him at any time. The combination of these 2 people could be said to be flawless. Even if they were to go against the region's #1 fighter, Disher Tian, they would also have the strength to fight. As for the people from other guilds, because they were afraid of Supreme Ji's assassination, they would try to get along with the Hurricane Studio as much as possible. Of course, this didn't mean that Hurricane Workshop was invincible. It was just that the guild leaders of large guilds had too many things to deal with every day. Nobody could invest all of their time and energy into a small workshop, right? Regarding this, the Supreme Emperor was still very self-aware, so when he first received Su Wan's job application letter and saw the request in the letter, the Supreme Emperor instinctively wanted to refuse, but when he saw the additional cost of bringing her to level up, the Supreme Emperor's heart was moved. He checked the deposit in that bank card. The huge number inside made him tremble with fear. At that time, he knew that this time, Su Chengwanyu really put down her hard-earned capital. Only an idiot wouldn't earn money. So now, Supreme Ji took the initiative to invite Su Wan to join the team. It could be considered as agreeing to her request. From this moment on, she was a member of the Hurricane Workshop. And in the following week, all the members of the Hurricane Workshop only had one task, which was to bring Su Wan to level up. With the help of Supreme Ji and the other 3 people, Su Wan's path to level up became very smooth. At this time, the new instance had just opened. The guild leaders of the large guilds in the whole region were actively organizing people to explore the way in the instance. Even if someone discovered Su Qingwanyu's figure, no one had the leisure to go and kill her. And at this time, Di Shi Tian and Hui Mao Yi Xiao were in the period of warming up. He had long thrown Su Qingwanyu to the back of his mind. Shi Tian Guild's new vice-guild leader, Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon, originally couldn't bear to see Su Wan being hunted down. So, the matter of her returning to the game was suppressed by Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon. Di Shi Tian didn't know that in the blink of an eye, it was the weekend again. Right now, Su Wan's level had already risen to level 45. This was the benefit of entering the game later. When the game just opened, there were fewer monsters and more people. Everyone leveled up and explored at the same time. Several people snatched a monster and stumbled their way to level 30. But now, there was a high-level team that brought her to the densely packed monster areas to level up. The experience gained was like flowing water and she could rush to level 30 in almost a day. Of course, after reaching level 45, Su Wan's leveling speed also slowed down. She calculated the ratio of the experience gained by several people right now. If she wanted to rise back to level 50 in the shortest time possible, there was only one way, to solo the level 45 instance, Millennium Realm. Millennium Realm was currently a relatively mid-range small instance in the game. The normal arrangement was for a small team of 5 people. Of course, there were also people with good operation and top-notch equipment who formed a team of 2 or 1 person solo. These few days, Su Wan used her forging skills to create a set of level 40 priest equipment for herself. Her whole body added 8. In the same level, it was already considered pretty good equipment. Moreover, many of the rare skills that she had previously obtained could now be used. For example, resurrection, defense, and enfeeblement. These were all relatively practical skills. Especially enfeeblement, it often had a role that could not be ignored when dealing with bosses. After telling Ji Zun her thoughts, Su Wan used the teleportation formation to directly teleport to the entrance of the Millennium Realm instance. At this time, most of the ordinary players were still around level 50, so the entrance of the Millennium Realm instance was very lively. Su Wan unhurriedly walked into the crowd. At first, she did not attract the attention of others, but before she could walk in front of the instance NPC, she met a familiar figure head-on, White Wolf, level 60 assassin, Wolf's Fang Guild's elder. This assassin with a pale face and a somewhat malicious smile was the assassin who chased after Su Wan when she first entered the task world. Su Qingwanyu. At this time, White Wolf naturally also saw Su Wan's figure. He slightly froze and subconsciously threw an identification talisman on Su Wan's body. ID, Su Qingwanyu gender, female profession, priest level, 45 affiliated guild, none good and evil value, minus 798 inches. This game, the good and evil value is calculated according to the number of people you kill. Every time you kill a person, you lose 1 point. Like this, every point of evil value needs to be online for 1 hour to be eliminated. Su Wan was often online recently. She had not killed people for a long time, so her good and evil value was gradually decreasing. Even so, there was still more than 700 evil value. It can be seen that when she was originally in Shirtian Guild, how many people she killed like flies. You seem to be living quite leisurely recently. White Wolf slightly licked his lips and looked at Su Wan maliciously. Just now, he called out her name and his voice was very loud, so much so that the eyes of everyone nearby fell on Su Wan. Facing White Wolf's provocation and other people's gloating expressions, Su Wan's gaze sank. A good dog doesn't block the way. Su Chingwan Yu. White Wolf was enraged by Su Wan's words and raised his arm to block her path again. Are you courting death? Believe it or not, I'll immediately call all the people here to widen you to level 10. You Wolf's Fong people only know how to bully the few with numbers, and you especially like to bully women, right? As she spoke, Su Wan disdainfully looked at White Wolf in front of her. Do you dare to go 1v1 with me in the arena? Fight if you're not convinced. This was Su Wan's principle of life. Why wouldn't I dare? White Wolf, this person was still conceited. Hearing Su Wan's words, he immediately opened a room in the arena and directly threw an invitation to Su Wan. If you can beat me, I won't find trouble with you in the future. Ah. Hearing White Wolf's words, Su Wan just smiled. She immediately clicked confirm and the figures of the two people were directly transmitted into the arena's room. Lingshan's arena was a place where everyone competed and learned from each other. The people who were defeated here would not lose experience, and the people who won would not increase their evil value because of killing people. Seeing that the two people really entered the arena, the rest of the onlookers were also unwilling to fall behind. Almost by prior agreement, they all rushed into the arena to watch. Chapter 67. The competition room that White Wolf chose was the simplest arena room. It was square and had nowhere to hide. This kind of room was actually not conducive for assassins to PK, but in White Wolf's view, he had a 15-level suppression and his equipment was also much better than Su Wan's. Even if Su Wan was a priest and had a healing skill, it was still very easy to kill her with his own attack power. When the countdown ended, White Wolf immediately activated stealth, but to his surprise, Su Wan also threw out a light bullet at the first moment. This was the only attack skill that a low-level priest currently had. It wasn't very powerful, but it almost didn't have any cooldown time. Moreover, the skill was also the fastest to launch. Therefore, Su Wan seized the initiative from the start. Her light bullet interrupted White Wolf's stealth. And the battle-hardened White Wolf did not panic when he saw that his stealth was interrupted. The poisoned blood dome's sly blade drew a dark green color and headed straight for Su Wan's assassin's high-level skill, Bleak Blade. Once hit, in addition to the most basic physical damage, the target will be marked and continue to be poisoned and lose health for the next 10 seconds. The assassin's sensitivity had always been the highest among the 5 professions and White Wolf's physical fitness was also much better than ordinary people. Su Wan only saw a trace of a dark green afterimage and in the next moment, White Wolf's figure was already in front of her. Su Wan also instant cast a light bullet technique. Taking advantage of the time when the White Wolf was dazzled by the white light, she quickly retreated. While retreating, she used the deceleration technique. 3 seconds later, the White Wolf once again rushed in front of Su Wan and the deceleration technique was also activated. The White Wolf's movements immediately became sluggish and Su Wan took advantage of this opportunity to directly use the weakening technique on the White Wolf's body. Taking advantage of the fact that he was hit by the weakening technique, Su Wan continuously used the light bullet technique, 200, 200, 200. As the level increased, the damage of the light bullet also increased. In a few seconds, White Wolf had already lost 1,000 health points and he still had more than 4,700 health points. Right now, White Wolf's face was even paler. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Su Wan continuously lost more than 1,000 drops of health points. This was an unprecedented humiliation for him. Enraged, White Wolf immediately activated the assassin's signature skill, Snipe. Once hit by this skill, the target would be immobilized for 5 seconds. This time, the attack launched by the White Wolf was fast, accurate and ruthless, leaving no time for Su Wan to dodge. And the moment the White Wolf attacked, Soo-won only had time to cast a light shield technique for herself. This was one of the life-saving skills of a priest. The light shield that was cast could absorb a certain proportion of the damage for the caster and was immune to the instant death effect. White Wolf's attack hit. Seeing that Soo-won was stunned in place, White Wolf's face revealed a sinister smile. In the next 5 seconds, he used all his attack skills on Soo-won's body, 720, -680, -900. As a level 45 priest, Soo-won's health was only 3,000 points. She was continuously attacked by the White Wolf for 5 seconds. She relied on the light shield's instant death immunity and finally only had 270 points of health left. Let's end this. White Wolf slid and almost rushed in front of Soo-won. The two people's bodies were infinitely close. Right now, the cooldown time of White Wolf's attack skills had not passed, but he was sure that he could use physical attacks to end Soo-won's little life. But at this time, Soo-won suddenly leaned forward and White Wolf's wrist just happened to rub against Soo-won's chest. In that instant, it was as if White Wolf was cast with a body-fixing technique. His entire person was fixed in place and the blood-domed sly blade in his hand was only a few millimeters away from Soo-won's body. The entire competition room was in an uproar. Most people widened their eyes, looking at the current situation in confusion. Could it be that Soo Chang-won obtained a new priest skill? It doesn't look like it all. Of course, it wasn't that everyone didn't understand what happened. Some male players expressed, cough cough, encountering this kind of thing, we can only understand it but not explain it in words. Right now, White Wolf's body was stiff, the expression on his face was as if he was struck by lightning. In his mind, a certain mechanical system voice still carried an ice-cold lingering sound. Player White Wolf maliciously touched a female player's body. The system gave a level 3 warning. Because Lingshan was a simulated holographic online game, in order to protect the relatively weak female players, this hidden system of "Beware of lecherous pig hands" was specially added. Once a male player touched a female player's private parts, he would immediately be warned by the system and his whole body would be paralyzed for 5 seconds. Of course, this was the lightest punishment. If it was a second offense, the punishment would be doubled. If someone maliciously violated others, the most serious person would be blacklisted by the system and would not be able to enter the world of Lingshan in this lifetime. Regarding this hidden system, most people didn't know about it and there was no introduction in the official website. But with the increase in the number of people in the game in the future, this system would no longer be a secret. Also, after the system update, there would be other systems that would be more humane to protect the player's privacy. Taking advantage of the time when White Wolf was paralyzed, Soo-won continuously cast a few healing spells on herself. After that, she immediately aimed at White Wolf and threw a light bullet once again 200, 200, 200, 200. Seeing that Soo-won's HP had recovered by more than half, but he had lost another 1000 HP, White Wolf also wanted to cry but had no tears. Priest, this profession really made people feel vexed. When piking in the arena, other professions couldn't use props to recover HP, but priests could recover HP to save themselves. Checking the CD of his attack skills, the instant his skills recovered, White Wolf rushed towards Soo-won again. The two people fought for several minutes. Soo-won recovered her HP as soon as she was free, and because her movements were particularly clever, her perception was also particularly keen, it caused White Wolf's surprise attacks to fail several times. When the 5-minute countdown in the arena ended, both people were still alive. So the system automatically judged Soo Chang-won's victory according to the remaining HP of the two people. When the two people were sent back to the entrance of the Millennium Realm instance, White Wolf looked at Soo-won with a fierce face. You cheated. Do it again. A man should be able to afford to lose, unless you admit that you're not a man. Soo-won raised her eyebrows at White Wolf and her body leaned towards White Wolf. This time, White Wolf seemed to be frightened and immediately dodged to the side. Seeing that he was no longer blocking her path, Su-won quickly walked to the NPC's side and took out the props to open the instance. Her figure flashed and the next moment, her whole person had already appeared in the instance. Damn it! White Wolf, who was thrown outside, fiercely looked at the instance's entrance and finally simply found a place to sit down. He wanted to stay here and wait for the rabbit. He didn't believe that Su Ching-won could always stay in the instance and not come out. At the same time, the video of White Wolf and Su Ching-won's PK in the arena was recorded by someone and uploaded to Lingshan's official forum. Su Ching-won, who had disappeared for many days, returned to the 4th district and PK White Wolf did not fall into a disadvantageous position. Just this title alone had already attracted a lot of people's attention. And among the large number of onlookers who carefully watched the match, someone quickly discovered that White Wolf's momentary abnormality. Afterwards, there were players who logged in anonymously to popularize science to everyone. What was the beware of salty pig hands system? After that player who did a good deed without leaving his name popularized the science, the entire post building began to tilt in a strange direction. Onlooker A. White Wolf actually dared to touch my goddess's chest. What a lunatic. I only want to say 4 words to him, put me down. Onlooker B. Upstairs +1 Onlooker C. Upstairs +10086 Onlooker D. A group of perverts. What's so good about Su Ching-won? Great God White Wolf, I want to give birth to monkeys for you. Onlooker E. Lingshan World, Huaxia's 6th district. These few days, the new instance was opened. The entire Eternal Night Guild's backbone was busy exploring the instance, but Su Rue had been hiding in the level 70 leveling area alone to level up. Now, he could already cast ice spells very skillfully and easily. In a corner where no one noticed, Su Rue tried to combine his Qinggong with the skills in the game. The experimental results were pretty good. After fighting monsters for a small day and seeing that his experience bar was about to fill up, Su Rue was satisfied and took out a return scroll to return to the Eternal Night Guild's encampment. Guild Leader. Boss. Seeing Su Rue wearing a blue mage robe and leisurely walking through the door, that huge, first in the district, title really blinded people's eyes. Ice-cold Little Hands, who was in charge of managing the guild's logistics warehouse, giggled and greeted Su Rue. Seeing that Su Rue still had an expressionless face, he was not angry. Instead, he immediately started typing in the guild chat group, Ice-cold Little Hands, guild leader is back. There's an iceberg guild leader releasing cold air all the time, making people feel that this summer is really great. Cloud Poet, Little Hands. You're a man, is it really good to be so love-struck? Delicate and Pretty Beauty, although Luan Jia is a fujoshi, Luan Jia will not support you secretly falling in love with Leader Darren. Leader Darren is so cold and aloof, you mortals better not talk nonsense. Ice-cold Little Hands, I was wrong, I'm guilty. I just simply want to become a man like the guild leader, that's all. Delicate and Pretty Beauty, you definitely don't have any hope in this life. In your next life, first reincarnate into a good body. Ice-cold Little Hands, delicate and pretty, even if we're separated by 1,000 mountains and 10,000 rivers, I can still feel the dense malice coming from your heart. Delicate and Pretty Beauty, Little Hands is obedient, Big Sister has already teleported back to the city. I can immediately observe Leader Darren up close. Roar roar roar. Awe-inspiring evil, you guys are really noisy. Be quiet for me. Melancholy Sheep, Linran Gidge, you came out of the arena awe. Did you just look at the official forum awe? Awe-inspiring evil. Melancholy Sheep, Su Ching-won you returned. Just now in the 4th district, she PK with White Wolf in the arena. Awe-inspiring evil, really? Night Rain, really? Delicate and pretty beauty. Melancholy sheep. Right now, ice-cold little hands' fingers that were typing in the message were sluggish. Your mother. The leader Darren, who never spoke in the guild chat, actually appeared today. Is it true? Is it a living person? Delicate and pretty beauty and beautiful sheep were both stupefied, and ice-cold little hands subconsciously turned his head to look at Su Rue, who was sitting on the other side of the encampment and concentrating on typing. At this time, a new message appeared in the guild channel. Night Rain. What happened to Su Qingwanyu? Actually, the original Siti was a very introverted person, so he never chatted with others in the chat room before, and Su Rue was also not a person who liked to be lively. After becoming Siti, he still maintained this habit of Siti. Only, in the chat room settings, Su Rue set the words Su Qingwanyu as keywords. Once someone talked about Su Wan's name, his chat box would automatically pop up. Chapter 68. The Eternal Night Guild's chat channel was briefly silent for a few seconds because of Su Rue's sudden appearance. Hearing Su Rue keep asking about Su Qingwanyu, Melancholic Sheep immediately repeated the news he saw on the forum. Then everyone in the guild saw this prompt. This guild's leader Night Rain went offline. Went offline, went offline, went offline. Ice-cold small hands, who can tell me what happened in the end? Delicate beauty, Leader Darren. Why did Leader Darren leave? The Lewin family still hasn't had the time to worship Awe. Chuyun Poet. Melancholic Sheep. Why do I feel like I've discovered some great secret? Awe-inspiring evil, sheep, come to Lulan, I'll bring you to level. Melancholy Sheep, alright. Ice-cold small hands, publicly showing affection in the guild and whatnot, really enough. Su Rue went offline from the game and immediately went to the computer to open Lingshan's official forum. Then he entered Huaxia District 4's discussion area. Seeing that post that was pinned to the top, Su Rue's eyes flashed. After he finished reading all the content and comments, his entire face was so gloomy that water was about to drip out. Uncle Lee. Su Rue called heavily, and the housekeeper Uncle Straight figure immediately appeared beside Su Rue. Young master, what instructions do you have? Help me book a ticket to Lijiang City, the sooner the better. Also, contact a good security company. I want them to help me lock onto a person's network IP. Understood, young master. Hearing Su Rue's instructions, Uncle Lee immediately remembered it in his heart and earnestly carried it out for the first time. Turning off the computer, Su Rue lightly breathed a sigh of relief and then somewhat gloomily smiled. He really couldn't wait that long. At the same time, because of the explosive video, almost all the big shots in Huaxia District 4 knew about the news of Su Qingwanyu's return. Di Shi Tian, who was currently leading people to clear a dungeon, couldn't help but have a cold expression. Elder Dawn Wind, what do you have to say? On the side, Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon was clearing the small monsters while quickly answering, Chairman, you've killed her so many times, I believe that she won't dare to provoke you and Yi Xiao Mimi anymore. Seeing that we've known each other for so many years, just let you go this once. Di Shi Tian's expression sank, and his gaze involuntarily fell on Hui Mao Yi Xiao's body not far behind him. Right now, Hui Mao Yi Xiao was already equipped with a level 55 set, and her emerald green priest robe set off her entire person's especially youthful and lively. Tian Gij, what? Seeming to feel Di Shi Tian's line of sight, Hui Mao Yi Xiao followed the route that was cleared by everyone and slowly walked to Di Shi Tian's side. Su Qingwanyu is back. Sakura whispered, Yi Xiao, if you still can't let go of that matter, I'll continue to order people to kill her. King Tian, I was only killed by her twice. Speaking till here, Hui Mao Yi Xiao's eyes reddened as if she thought of something especially wronged. Then she forced a smile and looked at Di Shi Tian. After all, you guys used to be Friends. You don't need to continue haggling over every ounce with her. Since you said so, I'll let her off. Tian raised his eyebrows. His face had the appearance of, my family Yi Shao is the most kind-hearted and innocent, disregarding former enmity, and I'm the most magnanimous person, not haggling over her despicable person. Elder Dawn Wind and Waning Moon at the side expressed, Leader Darren, why do you give up on healing awe? Ever since you met Hui Mao Yi Shao, your entire IQ has been pulled down a street awe. You know. And that Hui Mao Yi Shao, who hasn't been killed in online games before awe. Weren't you just killed twice? What does that count as awe? You didn't drop any equipment and only lost a little bit of experience. What qualifications do you have to cry and wipe your tears awe? Wan Yu, she was hunted down by the entire server. From level 60, she was killed back to the novice village and was turned white 5 times. She didn't shed a single tear. AI, as an outsider, why do I feel so bad? Lingshan Penglai Island, Millennium Realm Instance's entrance. White Wolf was still sitting at the position facing the instance's entrance, watching everyone go in and out. Right now, his message bar was already exploding. Even the leader, Lone Wolf, sent him a voice call. Lone Wolf, you're still at the entrance of the Millennium Realm instance. Lone Wolf's voice was slightly hoarse, just like him. This kind of hoarse and deep voice gave people a very dangerous feeling. White Wolf softly responded and immediately said, I want to wait for Su Qingwan Yu to come out and compete with her again. Losing so unjustly and also being ridiculed by the whole server's onlookers. White Wolf felt that if he didn't win back once, he wouldn't be able to face others. Lone Wolf was silent on the other side for a while. Finally, he once again spoke in a low voice, Forget it, White Wolf. Dealing with a woman like this, we're also dropping our status too much. These days, Lone Wolf also couldn't help but reflect on himself. At that time, he impulsively issued a huge bounty hunting order. In the end, was it because of his resentment towards Su Qingwan Yu or was it because of these years of unwillingness? Seeing her and Di Tian fall out and become enemies, the happiest one should be himself. Especially some time ago, he knew that she was killed back to the novice village again and again. At that time, Lone Wolf's heart even had a kind of twisted pleasure. But in the week that Su Qingwan Yu disappeared, Lone Wolf inexplicably felt a little lost even if that woman was killed so many times, to the point that she wanted to delete her account and not play. She never compromised with anyone. This kind of temperament made Lone Wolf unconsciously recall the scene when he just met Su Qingwan Yu a few years ago. At that time, he was attracted by her temperament that didn't lose to men, right? The so-called no love, no hate. Since he already let go of that infatuation of the past, then why should he continue to bitterly pressure Su Qingwan Yu? Everyone will treat them as strangers in the future. Hearing Lone Wolf's instructions, White Wolf froze for a long time. White Wolf, boss, don't tell me you still. Lone Wolf, I've already let it go. Losing Di Tian's protection, Su Qingwan Yu alone in the 4th district can't turn over any storm no matter how much she tosses and turns. Don't tell me that I, Lone Wolf, am a dignified guild leader, still can't tolerate her, a woman. It has to be said that in some aspects, Lone Wolf is still more able to take up and let go than Di Tian. While the outside was bustling with excitement because of his video, Su Wan was single-mindedly grinding the instance. In the depths of the beautiful seabed, jellyfish monsters flashing with blue light floated everywhere. This was the sealed Millennium Realm. The background story of the Millennium Realm instance was a poignant love legend. Legend has it that this was a seabed castle that was sealed for 1,000 years. In the castle lived the noblest and most beautiful mermaid king in the entire sea. 1,000 years ago, the Mermaid King used forbidden magic to turn into a human and went to the splendid cherry blossom blossoming Chuyun city to play. In the land of the moon in Chuyun City, she met the young and handsome city lord's son. The two people quickly fell in love. Because forbidden magic couldn't maintain her human form for a long time, the Mermaid King must return to her seabed castle before the magic lost its effect. Knowing that his beloved girl was about to leave, the city lord's son was very sad. He used many ways to make his beloved stay. Perhaps it was because the cherry blossom rain in Chuyun City that year was too gorgeous, or maybe it was because the moon in Chuyun City was particularly beautiful that the Mermaid King couldn't resist her lover's infatuation. On the last day before the magic lost its effect, she still couldn't bear to leave. As a result, early the next morning, she turned back into a mermaid. The Mermaid King who turned into a mermaid did not receive the love and tenderness of her imagined lover. Instead, she was imprisoned as a tribute, waiting to be offered to Ingzhou's envoy. The extremely angry Mermaid King used ice magic to freeze the entire Chuyun City. Then, she captured her lover who betrayed her and locked him up in her seabed castle. This incident caused the wrath of Ingzhou's Dragon City Lord. He sent out 2 elite teams to rescue Chuyun City. At the same time, they went all the way to the depths of the sea. The magic army destroyed the seal on the seabed and Dragon City's cavalry trampled the Mermaid King's castle. When they found the son of Chuyun City's city lord, he was already on the verge of death. The enraged Chuyun City Lord used the human's secret magic to seal the Mermaid King. From then on, she could only wander around the abandoned castle with infinite grief and anger. In the world of Lingshan, every player who enters this instance is tacitly recognized as a brave person who unintentionally broke into the forbidden area. They will overcome all obstacles and after clearing all the small monsters, the ultimate big boss of this instance will be refreshed, the Mermaid King full of grievances. The Mermaid King was a magic boss, equivalent to a human's ice mage. When she was not in a berserk state, although her attacks were very strong, because all the spells needed to be chanted, when fighting her alone, as long as the player's operation could keep up with their awareness, it was still possible to slowly grind this boss to death. Su Wan fought this instance alone by relying on her own outstanding awareness and the priest's profession skills of healing and buffing. She used half an hour to clear the small monsters in the instance. At this time, Su Wan was already standing on the ruins of the old castle. A burst of red light flashed and the enchanting and beautiful Mermaid King respawned. Su Wan could feel the strong aura of grief on her body. She sighed in her heart at Lingshan's production team's painstaking efforts. Su Wan did not hesitate to cast a weakening spell on the Mermaid King. 25 minutes later, the Mermaid King, dressed in gorgeous clothing, fell to the ground with a loud bang, turning into equipment and forging materials. Among them, there was also a Millennium Realm special collection, the Tear of the Mermaid King. Chapter 69. The Tear of the Mermaid King was, in fact, a heart-shaped blue crystal. This special collection was not cheap and could be exchanged for a lot of silver coins in the store. Of course, players who liked to collect could also keep this special collection as a souvenir. Su Wan sorted out her spoils of war and looked at her experience bar that had risen by 40%. She was very satisfied with the Tear of the Mermaid King and tossed it in the palm of her hand. The sparkling and translucent blue light carried a faint aura of sorrow. You must be particularly desperate, right? Su Wan looked at the crystal in her hand and sighed. Humans are selfish and men are even more heartless. If you were given a chance to start over again, would you still fall in love with that human? AI. A drawn-out sigh suddenly sounded behind Su Wan. Su Wan suddenly turned around and saw the Mermaid King's light blue soul floating behind her. I have waited for 1,000 years and finally waited for you, foreign warrior. The Mermaid King's voice was particularly pleasant to listen to, like the sounds of nature. Su Wan clenched the crystal in the palm of her hand. Her face was calm, but her heart was slightly surprised. If she didn't guess wrong, she should have inadvertently triggered the hidden mission in the Millennium Realm. If time could flow back, I would definitely not fall in love with a human. The Mermaid King was still talking to herself, her tone sad. I have already been sealed for 1,000 years and now my soul is going to drift away. Before my soul flies away and scatters, I still have an unfulfilled wish. Foreign warrior, can you help me fulfill my last wish? As the Mermaid King's last word fell, a transparent dialogue box immediately popped up in front of Su Wan. Congratulations to player Su Ching Wan Yu for successfully triggering the hidden mission, Mermaid King's Wish, unique. Does the player accept the mission? The following options were willing and unwilling, and in the last column of the dialogue box, the mission reward was marked with a big question mark. Su Wan recalled the original plot. In Lingshan, there were a lot of hidden missions set up, but there were very few unique hidden missions. In the original world, Hui Mao Yi Xiao, who had heaven-defying luck and the Mary Sue aura off the charts, once took on 2 unique hidden quests. Those 2 quests were particularly difficult, and Hui Mao Yi Xiao finally completed the quests with the help of a group of pursuers, and thus obtained the entire server's only priest artifact angel staff, and the entire server's only fairy unicorn. In the plot that Su Wan knew of, no one had triggered the Mermaid King's wish, this task. It seems that those few words of hers triggered this task. I am willing to help you. In the end, Su Wan naturally chose to be willing. As a result, the Mermaid King's soul body just faintly smiled and the task panel in front of Su Wan immediately changed. Hidden quest, Mermaid King's wish, unique. Quest progress 0%, quest hint, the Mermaid King, who has been sealed for 1,000 years, misses her other clansmen. Please go to the Mermaid Country to find the abyssal fish demons and collect 100 amethyst ambers. Su Wan, wasn't this hidden mission a little too overpowered? Damn the land of mermaids. That's a new map that will only appear after the new level is opened in half a year, okay? Su Wan's good mood just a moment ago vanished in an instant. She checked her equipment's wear and tear, thinking that White Wolf, that lingering ghost, didn't know if he was still guarding the door outside. In the end, Su Wan simply went offline in the instance. As long as the game time passes midnight, the instance can be refreshed again and she can continue to grind the Millennium Realm again. This time, Su Wan went offline relatively early. She used her phone to send a message to Supreme Emperor, then put on a coat and went out to buy food. Winter came especially early in Lijiang City. At this time, there were already people wearing cotton-padded overcoats and down jackets on the streets. Su Wan was considered a person who was relatively resistant to the cold. She wore a red woolen coat and a furry knitted scarf around her neck. She took a taxi to the largest chain supermarket near her home. Thinking that she would have to continuously fight in the game for the next few days, Su Wan bought a lot of fast food, chocolate, milk powder and other highly nutritious and high-calorie foods. After paying the bill in the supermarket, Su Wan went to the fast food restaurant next to the supermarket to eat a pizza. After eating and drinking to her heart's content, Su Wan took a taxi back to her residence. At 7:30 in the evening, the street lights were first lit. Su Wan got out of the taxi and slowly walked into the corridor while carrying large and small bags. The light in the corridor of the new apartment-style building was still a dim orange color. Su Wan lived on the 5th floor. When she arrived at the door of her house, somewhat exhausted, she saw a black figure leaning against the door of her house. Hearing Su Wan's footsteps, that figure suddenly raised his head. In the dim yellow light, the deep and gloomy eyes flashed a bright color. "You're back." Su Wan's voice was somewhat hoarse, but his tone still carried unconcealable joy. Su Wan frowned and her gaze fell on Su Wan's thin coat. She sighed, opened the door and threw a pair of women's slippers to Su Wan. "Just put up with it, there aren't any men's." Su-won moved his limbs and followed Su-won into the room. The dark red furry women's slippers looked particularly funny on Su-won's feet, but he didn't seem to feel anything. He looked at the layout of the room and found that Su-won's apartment still had 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. The corner of Su-won's mouth immediately slightly rose. It seems that there was no need to rent another apartment next door. It's still better to live together and whatnot, love is the most. Su-won sorted the things she bought from the supermarket and put them away. When she returned to the living room, she saw Su-rui frowning and playing with her cell phone. Seeing Su-won's figure, Su-rui raised his cell phone. "There's a text message, I helped you reply." Such a matter-of-fact tone made Su-won's face black lines. "Okay, let's talk business first." Su-won sat on the other corner of the sofa and looked at Su-rui. "Why did you come? Don't tell me it's a coincidence again." The encounter in the last mission world could be a coincidence, but what about this time? How could there be so many coincidences in this world? The so-called fate, Su-won never believed in it. "I bought a locator." Su-rui looked at Su-won with a smile. "We can often do missions together in the future, are you happy?" "Happy, my ass." Su-won's face was gloomy. "If I didn't guess wrong, you should be walking the male supporting storyline, right? Our missions are in conflict, don't you know?" Su-rui thought there's such a thing. General Su expressed that he didn't know at all. "Okay." Seeing Su-rui's completely blank expression, Su-won immediately felt tired. "Let's not talk about this, let's talk about your identity this time." According to Su-won's mission experience, the male supporting in every world was very lofty. They made the cannon fodder unable to catch up to them, but they were ordered around by the female lead and occasionally didn't have a good ending. In this mission world, the female lead, Hui Mao Yi Xiao, carried the female lead halo of being loved by everyone who saw her, and she also had a rather awesome skill that attracted the hatred of all female players in the server. That is, any guild leader, male, as long as they see Hui Mao Yi Xiao, they will absolutely fall in love with her at first sight, fall in love with her when they meet again, won't marry anyone but you, pledge eternal love. It was because there were too many affectionate male supporting characters in this world, so now Su-won was also uncertain what Su-rui's identity was right now. He should at least be the leader of a large guild, right? Hearing Su-won ask about his identity, Su-rui couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and smiled at Su-won. "This humble servant is Siti, game ID Night Rain." Night Rain, Siti. Hi City Situ family's sole heir, Huaxia region's #1 ranked person, Huaxia's 6th district's #1 guild, Eternal Night Guild's leader. Siti had too many identities in this world, but the meaning of this character's existence in life was used to dote on the female lead, and even to the point of sacrificing himself for the female lead and male lead's happy life. That's right, young Master Situ, who was set to be delicate and weak, was using his life to be the second male lead. Chapter 70. When Su-won entered this world, she was already familiar with the main plot of this mission world. At this time, hearing Su-rui speak of his identity, Su-won instantly recalled Situ Ye's life experience in her heart. Comparing her current level with Situ Ye's level in her heart, Su-won felt that this world was still full of dense malice, #1 in all of Huaxia. What to do? Su-won. Seeing Su-won sitting on the sofa in a daze, Su-rui slowly moved to Su-won's side, then shook her phone again and asked in a somewhat unclear tone, "Who the hell is Supreme Emperor?" "The boss of our studio." Su-won answered somewhat dispiritedly. Originally, her starting point in the online game world was pitifully low. Now, compared to Su-rui, Su-won didn't know why she felt especially irritated in her heart. It was that kind of indescribable and unclear emotion that made her entire person suddenly look a lot gloomy. "Boss?" Su Rui lifted his brows. Is he familiar with you? Just now, when Su Wan was in the kitchen, her cell phone kept ringing. Su Rui picked it up and glanced at it a few times. He saw that it was all text messages from Supreme Zune, basically asking about the game. Finally, he was still very concerned and asked her to eat on time, take care of her body and whatnot. Su Rui expressed that he was in a bad mood after reading the message. As a result, he blacklisted Supreme Emperor without hesitation. As for replying to the text message, General Su expressed that he was just casually saying it. Su Wan didn't know that Su Rui had already blacklisted Supreme Emperor. Hearing Su Rui's question, Su Wan just absent-mindedly shook her head, not too familiar, just temporarily cooperating. Leveling up with them can be faster. I'll help you level up in the future. Su Rui's gaze brightened when he heard Su Wan mention leveling up. Then he turned his head and looked at Su Wan expectantly. There's still half a month before the cross-regional channel opens. At that time, the neutral map and the neutral battlefield will open. My current level is still passable. Once the neutral map opens, I'll take you there to level up. Although the mage was a fragile profession, it had to be said that this profession was the fastest to level up in Lingshan and had the most advantage in fighting monsters. You're really modest. You're first in the whole region, and you still say you're making do. Do I still want to live? Su Wan looked at Su Rui with a bit of a smile. Why didn't I find out that you have the virtue of modesty and courtesy before? I have a lot of good points. You have a lifetime to slowly discover them. Su Rui smiled and quietly moved closer to Su Wan's side. Alright, it's time for me to log in. If you're tired, you can sleep in the guest room. We'll talk tomorrow. Su Rui watched as Su Wan returned to the bedroom and connected to the game cabin. General Su expressed that he wasn't happy at all. Hello, Uncle Lee. Turning to the balcony, Su Rui immediately called his housekeeper. When can my game cabin be flown over? What? Tomorrow morning. Forget it, let's leave it at that for now. Hanging up the phone, Su Rui gazed at the bleak street outside the window, his eyes involuntarily narrowing. Su Wan returned to the game. She was still in the instance. In the empty instance, there was only her lonely figure. Su Wan leaned against the wall at the side and sat down. Right now, her character's mailbox had already exploded. Su Wan opened the snowflake-like mail. 90% of them were friend requests. Almost without looking carefully, Su Wan clicked to reject all of them. Then, she saw a few messages in her friend list. Dawn Wind Waning Moon. Tianji has already revoked the order to kill you. Will we still be friends when we meet in the future? Dancing Baby, Idle Darren. I saw your video. Do you accept disciples? Can you accept me as a disciple? Supreme Zune, why did you pull my number into the blacklist? When the original owner left Shirtian, she basically deleted all of her good friends in Shirtian. Dawn Wind Waning Moon was the only one left. He was more tactful, but he wasn't that annoying. As the saying goes, when people leave, the tea cools down. At that time, after being killed by Yi Tian, those backbones of Shirtian Guild also participated in the operation to kill Su Wan. Only Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon didn't make a move, but that was all. He didn't make a move, but he also didn't say a word for her. This was Dawn Wind Waning Moon's way of doing things. Su Wan thought about it and still deleted him from her friend list. Then, Su Wan gave Wu Bao Bao a smiley face. When it came to Supreme Zune, Su Wan hesitated for a bit and still replied with a sentence, I didn't delete it. Then she left it at that. It wasn't 12 o'clock yet and the instance didn't reset. Su Wan finished dealing with her friend's information and looked at the world channel in boredom. At this time, there were actually people talking about her matters, but the focus of everyone's discussion had shifted from the competition with White Wolf to the suddenly revoked order to kill. It turned out that Lone Wolf was the first to revoke the order to kill, and Di Tian also followed closely behind. This time, she finally didn't have to be on tenterhooks while leveling, but Su Wan still felt unhappy. She didn't like this kind of weak identity, but in the world of Lingshan, the level decided everything. When she entered the mission, it was the worst time. According to her current progress of solo clearing the instance every day, when the cross-regional channel opened, she estimated that she could only barely level up to around level 60. Only level 60, and now Su Rui's mage account was already level 70. Su Wan sighed again. Sure enough, Su Rui's appearance made her feel very vexed. She clearly knew that using Su Rui would be the fastest way to achieve her goal. If it was the previous Su Wan, she wouldn't even think about it and would definitely use the most concise and fastest way to complete the mission. But now Su Wan's mood was very irritable. From the first time she saw Su Rui at the door of the house, she felt that her heart was a bit chaotic. This kind of strange and familiar emotion made Su Wan unwilling to stay in the room for even a second. She could only hide in the game now and slowly sort out her own emotions. After telling herself 100 times in her heart, "Calm down," Su Wan's expression slightly improved. She quietly went offline and came out of her bedroom. She found that the lights in the living room had been turned off and the door of the guest room on the side was closed. She didn't know if Su Rui was resting or doing something else. Su Wan went to the kitchen to pour a glass of water for herself, then turned around and returned to the bedroom to change into her pajamas to rest. The next morning, Su Wan was woken up by a burst of noise. She opened the bedroom door in a daze and saw a group of workers moving Lingshan's extra-large game chamber into her home in an orderly manner. What do you mean? Su Wan saw Su Rui sitting on the sofa in the living room, calm and unruffled. When Su Rui heard Su Wan's voice, he turned his head and saw her wearing light blue home clothes, standing at the door with a confused face. He suddenly felt that Su Wan's appearance was very cute. What should he do? Su Rui immediately stood up and walked in front of Su Wan, using his figure to cover her slender body. Such a cute Su Wan, it's fine as long as he's the only one looking at it. Su Wan, did you read some strange CEO novel again these days? Su Wan felt that the way Su Rui looked at her was really too strange, making her feel uncomfortable all over. It's time for your game chamber to be replaced. These two are the latest Super Deluxe Limited Edition game chambers produced by TX Company that I specially ordered people to fly over. It's also a unique couple model. We'll each have one. Your machine number is 520 and mine is 521. While speaking, Su Rui slightly leaned sideways, one hand on the door frame, and lowered his eyes to look at Su Wan expectantly. What the hell is this kind of begging you to quickly praise me expression? Su Rui, do you know that your character is getting more and more broken? Right now, Su Wan was madly rolling her eyes in her heart, but she clearly misjudged Su Rui's fighting strength, what's called showing off your love to the death of a single dog. After the game crossed regions, Eternal Night Guild's guild leader, Night Rain, in addition to the title of the region's first, he was also given the nickname of Crazy, Arrogant, Dazzling, Cool, Amazing, Exploding, Heaven by the entire server's players, Crazy Love Demon. Chapter 71. As a literary and artistic young man, Young Fan never liked to play online games, but after being pulled into Lingshan by his younger brother, Young Fan felt that online games were actually quite fun. Of course, it would be great if Lingshan could change the game ID. Ice-cold little hands and whatnot, what the hell was that? He could only blame himself for being too stupid and naive. He didn't even know how to use a game ID. In the end, he was successfully fooled by his younger brother. The two brothers, ice-cold little hands and ice-cold little feet. Originally, his younger brother, Yang Liang, said that he would teach him to kill monsters and level up. As a result, during the open beta, his hand trembled and the two people actually chose different regions. In the end, could they still play happily? Well, in fact, Huaxia District 4 and Huaxia District 6, it doesn't sound too far. What the hell? Go, you're distracted again. Yang Liang's voice interrupted Yang Fan's thoughts. Yang Fan pushed his glasses and looked up to see that he was standing in front of a row of women's supplies. Forcefully turning around calmly, Yang Fan was about to push the shopping cart around with a straight face, but he suddenly froze there. Heavens, heavens. I must be seeing things, hallucinating, right? Go, what's wrong with you? Yang Liang saw his elder brother stop again and he couldn't help but step forward and wave his hand in front of Yang Fan's eyes. Did you see a ghost? No, it's not a ghost, it's the president. President. Because of Lingshan's high degree of restoration, everyone's character image was basically the same as in real life. Of course, some common faces still couldn't be found even if they were thrown into the crowd, but some people with outstanding looks would be very easy to remember. Su Rui clearly belonged to the kind of place where you can't forget once you see him. Today, Su Rui wore a khaki casual sweater and a black woolen windbreaker hung on his arm. His soft chestnut short hair was particularly refreshing. At this time, he was smiling as he followed Su Wan, talking to her while walking. His handsome face was full of gentleness. Yang Fan had never seen such a gentle Su Rui. In his impression, the president used to be very introverted and silent, and now he was especially expressionless like an iceberg. Could it be that the way he went to the supermarket today was wrong? When Yang Fan denied himself, Yang Liang followed Yang Fan's line of sight. I'll go. Long-legged oppa. Is that your president? Looks like a celebrity. Io, he's smiling so brightly. He must be a very nice person usually, right? The one beside him must be his girlfriend. TSK, he doesn't look bad, but he looks a little familiar. Holy shit. Isn't that Su Chengwan Yu? Su Cheng Wan Yu. Yang Fan, I think I also know a big secret. He wouldn't be silenced by the president and have his corpse destroyed, right? Well, as it turned out, Yang Fan was definitely thinking too much. At this time, Su Rui and Su Wan had already arrived in front of the Yang brothers and then brushed past them. Yang Fan sobbed, I was ignored by the president. It was very obvious that Su Rui was born with an automatic immunity and disregard function for people other than Su Wan. The two people finally stopped in front of the row of women's products. Su Wan casually took a pack of sanitary pads, but it was snatched by Su Rui. WeChat said that there are a lot of fake goods from this brand. Xiao Wan, you don't need to use this. As he spoke, Su Rui smiled and took a pack from the top. The brand was foreign, purely imported, and the price was also blinding people's eyes. This is good, super thin, leak-proof, comfortable and breathable. Su Wan, are you sure you're not possessed by some strange thing? Su Rui. At this time, the Yang brothers who were watching from a close distance were already petrified. Yang Fan, I was wrong, I must have seen wrongly. This person must be the president's twin brother. It must be. Yang Liang, I'll go, that thing is so expensive. It said that women have to use it every month. Then wouldn't I have to spend a lot more money every month when I marry a wife in the future? A certain someone, didn't you realize that the focus of your attention has gone astray? Su Wan and Su Rui naturally didn't know their psychological activities, but they felt that there were two lines of sight that had been intentionally or unintentionally falling on him and Su Wan, which made Su Rui feel very uncomfortable. He gently turned sideways and used the corner of his eyes to glance at the place where Yang Fan and Yang Liang were standing. The two brothers only felt a sharp and cold gaze piercing through the air. At that moment, the two people's hearts trembled, and then the two brothers coincidentally pushed the shopping cart and fled. What's wrong? At this time, Su-won also felt Su-rue's abnormality at that moment. She couldn't help but turn her head and look at him. I'm fine. Su-rue put away the coldness in his eyes and looked at Su-won with a beaming smile. These few days, you're not feeling well, so don't go on the game. Take a good rest for a few days. Buy more ingredients today, I'll cook for you. Cook. Thinking of General Su's cooking skills, Su-won was also speechless. No need to be so troublesome, just order takeout. Although Su-won didn't say it clearly, Su-rue also saw that his cooking skills were absolutely despised. How could this be? The overbearing CEOs in the novels were all able to enter the kitchen from the main hall, and there were also some international chefs and so on. Su-rue thought that the next time he looked for a task, he must find a gourmet world to properly improve his cooking skills. For 3 consecutive days, Su-won did not go online. Supreme Zune and the others also did not contact Su-won. Until the 3rd night, when Su-won received Supreme Zune's transfer, did she know that Su-rue had already found Hurricane Studio and terminated the cooperation and employment relationship between her and Hurricane Studio. Regarding this, Su-won didn't take it to heart. Now, she was no longer being chased by people. If she wanted to level up, she also didn't need other people's help. Now, Su-won's first task was to quickly rise to level 60. The newly opened instance by the system was level 60. Currently, no guild had successfully opened it. According to the storyline that Su-won knew, in the original world, it wasn't until after the cross-region opening that this level 60 instance was cleared by Shirtian Guild. Everything relied on Hui Mao Yi Xiao's heaven-defying luck. Although her game operation wasn't good, the female lead, Darren's luck was unparalleled. That level 60 instance was a labyrinth instance and there were many forks in the road. Once you choose wrongly, you will walk into a dead end and be annihilated by the Berserk Monster Legion. And Di Shirtian relied on Hui Mao Yi Xiao's intuition. In addition, at that time, the elite team and the guild's level and equipment were more or less upgraded. After the cross-region opening, they spurred on and took the instance's first kill. And in that instance, the first kill reward was a special skill book, Forced Resurrection leveled 60 Priest skill. After this skill is released, the released target will be forcefully resurrected and recover 20% of the user's HP and 20% of MP. This skill book was originally obtained by Di Shirtian and Hui Mao Yi Xiao, and now Su-won must snatch it into her hands. For Hui Mao Yi Xiao, this skill could only be used when Di Shirtian was PK with an enemy. If she happened to follow at the side, she could occasionally use it. And for Su-won, this was a skill book that she must obtain as a violent priest. Chapter 72. Lingshan gathered players from all over the world and Huaxia's 8 regions were the regions with the most players. After a few days, when Su-won went online again, everyone no longer discussed her topic because there would be new news every day in Huaxia's 4 regions and there were new lively things to watch. Now, many people were paying attention to the latest developments on the official website, waiting for the system update and the opening of the cross-region channel after half a month. Su-won was still clearing the Millennium Realm alone. The speed of clearing the instance also gradually became faster as she became more and more skilled and gradually increased her level and attack power. After spending money to buy the key to refresh the instance, Su-won continuously cleared the instance for 2 days and did a few main quests. Then, she smoothly rose to level 50. After level 50, she would change to a new map, Quicksand Land. There was a barren desert there and there were all kinds of strange monsters occupying the desert. At this time, there were a lot of players training in Quicksand Land. Almost all the places with dense monsters were occupied by the big guilds. The other 3 players could only find a place with fewer monsters to slowly level up or find another way and form a team to level up in a high-level monster area. In Lingshan, the greater the difference in level between the monsters and the players, the more experience you would get from killing monsters. However, opportunities and dangers coexisted when killing monsters of a higher level. This was because in Lingshan, starting from level 55, monsters on all level maps would take the initiative to attack monsters and their lethality wasn't low. If you didn't have a strong sense of operation and rashly formed a team to kill monsters of a higher level, you would definitely die miserably. Su Wan, on the other hand, didn't have this worry because she was very confident in her awareness and operation. More importantly, after reaching level 50, she obtained a priest's first group attack skill, Holy Light Technique. This was a priest's essential skill for fighting monsters and leveling up. Level 60 Wild Map, Lulan Underground Palace. At this time, there weren't many players who reached level 60 in the game and Lulan Underground Palace had a total of 5 floors. The monsters on each floor were very dense and their attacks were also very sharp. Therefore, there weren't many people fighting monsters on this map every day. When Ice-Cold Small Feet and his teammates, Ends of the Earth, entered the first floor of the underground palace, the monsters at the entrance seemed to have just been cleared by someone. There were still collected items on the ground that hadn't disappeared. The monsters here were level 60 and were the lowest level monsters in the entire underground palace. Ice-Cold Small Feet had just reached level 57. He and Ends of the Earth had already been here for 3 days. The 2 planned to go to the second floor of the underground palace to farm when they reached level 58. We're late today. Ends of the World sighed. Although Wolf's Fong did not have a good reputation, as a high-quality player, Ends of the World did not like to use his guild to suppress others. He also did not like to steal kills from others. Let's go around the corner. There are quite a lot of monsters there. As they spoke, Icy Cold Small Feet had already entered the underground palace. Ends of the Earth followed closely behind him. Not long after, the 2 of them heard the sounds of battle. Looking towards the source of the sound, they immediately saw a slender figure wielding a priest's staff among the dark green underground palace guards. Her movements were extremely fast, and the time she cast her skills was just before the cooldown of each skill ended. She didn't waste a single second. It is Su Chengwanyu. Although he couldn't see the person in the middle of the group of mobs, he could tell that it was a female cleric based on her skills. There were only a handful of female shepherds in all of China's 4 servers that could do this. Moreover, the person who was leveling up on the first floor of the underground palace was obviously not level 60 yet, so it was easy to guess this person's identity. Su Chengwanyu. Hearing Ends of the Earth's words, Icy Cold Small Feet suddenly exclaimed. This cry did not disturb Su Wan, who was concentrating on leveling up not far away. Instead, it attracted the attention of a small team that had just entered the first floor of the underground palace behind them. Hey! The 2 wolves Fong in front. What do you guys want to do? A crisp female voice rang behind the 2 people. Immediately, a young and cute female cleric wearing a light green priest robe appeared beside the 2 people. Speak. Do you guys want to sneak attack my master? Are you tired of living? Do you guys want to withdraw like White Wolf? Ends of the Earth, your master. Su Chengwanyu. Icy Cold Small Feet. What does White Wolf withdrawing have to do with Su Chengwanyu? Wait, maybe it really is related. Icy Cold Small Feet suddenly remembered that everyone in the guild was talking about White Wolf withdrawing because his family went bankrupt and whatnot. It seems like the day he withdrew was the day he and Big Brother met their guild leader and Su Chengwanyu in the supermarket, right? Could it be? Unknowingly, Icy Cold Small Feet had already imagined a melodramatic annual drama, and the truth of the matter was naturally very different from the content of his imagination. But one thing he felt was right, making by family go bankrupt and whatnot, it was indeed Su Rui's doing. Heavenly Cold Wangpe, this was one of the necessary skills of an overbearing CEO that Su Rui learned in the novel. Using it was simply awesome. Right now, Ends of the Earth still didn't know that his unreliable teammate was imagining things. He raised his eyes and looked at this female cleric who looked like a student. She was wearing level 50 equipment and seemed to have come here to level up. But Wu Bao Bao. He didn't have any impression of this name, but the person behind her. Wu Feng. Ends of the Earth heard of this warrior before. He was a very powerful character. Once, an elder in the guild wanted to rope him into the guild, but in the end, he refused. Out of fear of Wu Feng, Ends of the Earth couldn't help but explain, the two of us also came here to level up and don't want to have any conflicts with others. If there's nothing else, we'll leave first. As he spoke, he pulled the still absent-minded Icy Cold Small Feet and the two people quickly walked in another direction. Humph, at least you're sensible. Wu Bao Bao clenched her fists behind them. Fire and Ice on the side could only helplessly smile, and then he also looked at Su Wan not far away. Right now, she had already eliminated a batch of monsters and was currently luring the second batch. Feng Ji, how about we still team up with her? Fire and Ice Walker's impression of Su Wan was also pretty good, not to mention that she was still his cousin's idol. Don't go over, let's also change a place to level up. Wu Feng, who hadn't made a sound all this time, said in a low voice and then turned to leave. Ice and Fire and Wu Bao Bao could only quickly follow behind him. The two of them were usually brought along by Wu Feng to level up and didn't understand the common sense of the game too much. Just now, Wu Feng observed for a long time and discovered that although Su Qing Wenyu was a priest, the speed at which she farmed monsters was not slower than a mage. Moreover, when a mage lures monsters, they don't dare to lure too many at once because their health is low. But a priest is different. Su Qing Wenyu can heal herself at any time, so she can unscrupulously keep luring monsters. Calculating like this, the experience that she gets by herself is actually much more than what they get by teaming up with them. Huaxia District 6, Eternal Night Guild. Although Su Rui had a record of not going online for a few days, his level was still far ahead of other players. And now, after going online again, Su Rui was even more frenzied as he reached the level 80 map in the wild. This was currently Lingshan's highest level map. Seeing that leader Darren's level had already risen 2 levels in a row today to the level 72 that people have no choice but to look up to, the entire guild channel boiled over. Delicate and Pretty Beauty, what's wrong with leader Darren? How about not going online for 3 days and then going online to rise 3 levels in a row? Chu Yun Poet, leader Darren is formidable. Melancholic Sheep, I checked the leader Darren's coordinates. He's actually in the level 80 map in the wild. Truly too amazing. Delicate and Pretty Beauty, 9494, with such a greasy leader Darren, wait until we cross the district, then our eternal night will be invincible. Chu Yun Poet, why is Little Hands so quiet today? Ice Cold Little Hands, Ice Cold Little Hands, who just went online, expressed, I just want to be a quiet handsome man. Delicate and Pretty Beauty, Little Hands, your great aunt came. Ice Cold Little Hands, inexplicably thinking of the encounter in the supermarket, what to do. As if possessed by ghosts and gods, Ice Cold Little Hands typed a line of words in the guild channel, Ice Cold Little Hands, I bumped into Su Qing Wenyu. Delicate and Pretty Beauty. Night Rain, when? Melancholic Sheep, aw. Aw. Leader Darren appeared again. Delicate and Pretty Beauty, capturing a domineering leader Darren alive. Chu Yun Poet, hello leader Darren, it's been hard on the leader Darren to level up. At this time, because Su Rui once again disorderly entered, the originally lively guild channel boiled over even more. In addition to these few talkative people, other guild members who lurked all year round also began to bubble. Looking at the guild channel that was flooded, Su Rui frowned. He opened the guild member list, found ice-cold little hands and immediately sent a private chat. Night Rain, where did you meet Su Qingwanyu? Chapter 73. As a core member of the Eternal Night Guild, Ice-Cold Little Hands naturally had Su Rui as a friend. But it had been almost 4 months since the server opened and he had never received a private message from the guild leader. Today was the first time he received a private message from the guild leader. Night Rain, where did you meet Su Qingwanyu? Little Icy Cold Hands stared at that sentence for a long time, and for a moment, his hands really felt cold. How should I answer? If he spoke the truth, would he be silenced by the guild leader? Randomly make up a story to fool them? If the president found out about this in the future, would he bring up the past? After a few seconds of mental struggle, Ice-Cold Little Hands quickly thought of an excuse and replied to Su Rui. Ice-Cold Little Hands, my family is from Lijiang City. I accidentally saw her a few days ago on the streets. Night Rain, you know her. Su Rui's reply was very quick. Although Su Qingwanyu was considered a celebrity in the entire Huaxia region, other than the people in the 4th district who had seen her in person, very few people in the other districts recognized her. Hearing Little Hands say that he was from Lijiang, Su Rui already believed his words. It's just that Su Rui went through the plot in his mind once and didn't discover that in this world, Ice-Cold Little Hands and the original Su Wan knew each other. What was going on? Seeing Su Rui's reply, Little Hand hesitated for a moment before quickly replying. Ice-Cold Little Hands, I don't know her, but my younger brother is in the 4th district's Wolf's Fang Guild. He knows Su Qingwanyu. Night Rain, people from Wolf's Fang pursued and killed Su Qingwanyu. Ice-Cold Little Hands, no, absolutely not. Although he couldn't see the guild leader's expression, when he thought of the guild leader's cold and sharp gaze in the supermarket that day, Little Icy Cold Hands felt as if his heart had been pierced through. So when he heard Su Rui's question, he immediately denied it. Thinking about it, Ice-Cold Little Hands couldn't help but send Su Rui a message. Little Icy Cold Hands, my brother and I are both peace-loving players. He would never kill anyone. Night Rain, oh Night Rain, tell him to quit Wolf's Teeth. Leaving the last sentence, Su Rui went offline again. Ice-Cold Little Hands, President, what did you mean by that last sentence? Could it be that you want to? For some reason, Little Icy Cold Hands shivered. His eyes flashed, and he quickly logged out of the game, frantically farming experience for a day in the underground palace. When Su Wan went offline, her game character was already level 53. Exiting the game connection, Su Wan moved her slightly stiff limbs. When she came out of the bedroom, she unsurprisingly saw Su Rui busying himself in the kitchen. These few days, he didn't personally cook, but our family's young master Situ poached the head chef of the biggest hotel in Lijiang City. As a matter of fact, the 5-star chef was cooking while he, the young master, was happily assisting the chef. Seeing Su Rui wearing an apron and running around in the kitchen, Su Wan couldn't help but smile. This was the first time she felt that there was nothing bad about being in the same world as Su Rui, even if she had to split a portion of the points. Of course, whether he could get the points from her or not was another matter. The two people's dinner consisted of 4 dishes and 1 soup. It was nutritious and exceptionally delicious. After eating, the two people found a comfortable position to nestle on the sofa. Su Rui wanted to watch a TV series, while Su Wan lazily held her tablet and absent-mindedly operated her stock account. After this period of short-term operation, Su Wan's account already had millions of deposits, and now she invested most of her net worth into TX's stocks. After Lingshan crosses servers, TX company's stocks will rise wildly, and at that time, because they saw the huge potential and unlimited business opportunities, their group will stop selling their stocks. Moreover, they will buy back the stocks scattered in the hands of small shareholders at a price higher than the market price by 30%. At that time, these stocks will truly not be exchanged for even 1,000 gold coins. The next day, Su Wan was still farming monsters on the first floor of the underground palace. Today, she saw Windless and the other two people again. Everyone greeted each other. Su Wan thought that the three of them would still be farming monsters at another location like yesterday. Who knew that after greeting each other, Windless would unexpectedly come to Su Wan's side. While brandishing his blade to repel the small monsters beside him, Windless issued an invitation to Su Wan at the same time. Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heavens Guild leader, Windless, has sent you an invitation to join. Do you want to join? Su Wan only noticed the brand new guild title on top of Windless' head at this time. You guys set up your own guild. Su Wan had no impression of this guild name. Presumably, this should be the guild they set up themselves. Yes, Xiao Wu wants to set up a guild to play. Windless heard Su Wan's words and replied in a low voice. This may be the so-called butterfly effect. In the original plot, when Dancing Baby entered Lingshan, the original owner Su Wan already deleted her account and didn't play anymore. Knowing that her idol quit the server, Dancing Baby lacked interest and didn't play for a few days before leaving the game. And Binghe Walker, who always played well with her, also followed Dancing Baby and quit the server to play other games. Among the three people, only Windless, who was used to playing alone, was left. He persisted until the end, but because of his personality, he never joined any guild, let alone set up his own guild. And now, Su Wan was still in the game, Dancing Baby and the others were also there. Under Dancing Baby's persuasion, Windless established his own guild, Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven. In front of numerous domineering guilds, they were a weak and small new guild. But it was this guild that was not looked upon favorably by everyone. In the near future, it will dominate the entire server. If you are willing to join, I can transfer the guild leader position to you. Windless once again said beside Su Wan. In fact, he originally planned to let his younger sister be the guild leader because the name of this guild was very suitable for a female guild leader. Unfortunately, Xiao Wu really didn't have any interest. Moreover, her level was low and her reputation wasn't prominent. She was also a student. Once she became the guild leader, it would be very difficult for the guild to recruit members. In desperation, Windless could only become the guild leader himself. And now, he had an even better choice. In Windless' view, Su Chengwanyu was very suitable to be the guild leader. She had many years of experience managing guilds and was also famous in District 4. Now, her level was also not low. He believed that as long as she opened her mouth to recruit people, there would still be a portion of scattered players willing to join this new guild. I can join the guild, but the guild leader is out of the question. You think highly of me. Let me be the vice guild leader. While speaking, Su Wan already accepted Windless' invitation. She really needed a guild and a group of trustworthy people. Windless' invitation came at the right time. At this moment, a weak male voice rang out from behind the two of them. Su Wan turned her head and saw ice-cold small feet and ends of the earth standing not too far away. Can we join your guild? Ice-cold small feet's voice was somewhat lacking in confidence. Su Wan didn't recognize them, but Windless remembered these two people. If he didn't remember wrongly, these two people were still members of Wolf's Fang yesterday. Even if they quit Wolf's Fang, it was impossible for the current Windless to add former Wolf's Fang members into his guild. Because when he first established the guild, his younger sister's only request was that after the guild reached level 3, he must list Wolfsfang and Shirtian, these two major guilds, as his own guild's enemy guild. Won't rest until one side is dead. Seeing that Windlass silently left and didn't even look at him, Ice-Cold Small Feet turned around and looked at Su Wan with sparkling eyes. Su Qingwanyu, accept us. It was my older brother who told me to come and seek shelter with you. Your older brother. Su Wan continued to fight monsters and chat at the same time. When Ice-Cold Small Feet heard Su Wan ask about his older brother, he immediately excitedly said, my older brother is called Ice-Cold Small Hands. He's in District Essex's Eternal Night Guild. He's Night Rain's guild leader's good friend. It was him who told me to come and find you. Please accept the two of us. Ice-Cold Small Hands. Su Wan knew that there was such a person in Su Rui's guild. It seems that the other party didn't lie. And in this world, other than the people that Su Rui knew, there really wasn't anyone else who knew about her relationship with Su Rui. Only Su Rui's good friend. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.